This
phases,
conference will now be recorded.
We have assigned various project leaders. We're all good now. But with the design phase, we've tried to assign various project leaders who are not only local to the region, but also have the key skill sets that are needed and the experience required to complete each project. And we're also partnering with firms that we've worked successfully with in the past that will allow us to achieve the MWBE and SDVOB requirements that are part of the DRI projects. And just as a breakdown of how that will be allocated, these percentages here, they're based on the fees that we presented in our proposal, which we are certainly willing to negotiate to meet your goals. And we also know that the schedules and scope will get more defined as we get into things. So these will change slightly, but we are confident in our ability to meet the requirements. As I mentioned, Fort Trowbridge will be, they are WBE and they're around 23%, or sorry, 18%. Fort Elbert, MBE, we'll utilize those for most of the surveying work. They'll be around 23%. And we also have Patriot Design and Consulting to assist with some of the civil engineering tasks. They're the SDVOB, and that's right now around 4 to 5% of the fees. But again, those will change slightly as we more further define the scope and schedule, and also just as we negotiate. The second really key strength that I think we possess and is really critical for this project is our experience with DRI projects and particularly grant administration. And to discuss a little bit more of that, I want to turn things over to Ed Flynn, who will be definitely a key liaison and partner for me, just to discuss our experience here more further. So Ed.
Thanks, Mike. If you just want to advance the slide. And good evening, everyone. I'm Ed Flynn. I'm the Director of Planning. Thanks for the opportunity to interview tonight. And I'm going to go through these pretty quickly because I know we have a limited amount of time. But first of all, I just wanted to tell you about our DRI experience. We have fortunately been the lead consultant on 3 of the Finger Lakes Downtown Revitalization Initiative plans. We've worked with Trowbridge and Foyt on those projects. So we worked in Seneca Falls, the city of Batavia, and the village of Penn Yan. And I think the takeaway from that is that we know how important the DRI is to your community and how the projects that you're proposing are transformative. And so we want to make sure we get those projects actually implemented efficiently and on time. So if you go to the next slide, you can see that we have worked, as Mike said, with Trowbridge on multiple projects. Currently, not only did we do the planning part of the project, but we are also doing the implementation part of the project now. So with the Penn Yan project, Trowbridge is actually the lead on the project, and they are administering and implementing the projects and doing all the engineering and design for 3 projects in Penn Yan. We are also working with them in the city of Batavia on a DRI project and doing the grant administration and the design and engineering on that. We are also working on 2 building improvement program projects in Batavia and Elmira. And I think the most important aspect of those, that involvement, is that we know the folks that we need to work with at the Department of State and any other agencies that we need to work with. And we know the steps and all the reporting that's required as part of the program. So if you go to the next slide. So not only do we have experience with the DRI, but we have extensive experience with grant programs. So on an annual basis, we help our clients get around $20 million in funding. We also administer around $20 million in grants on an annual basis. And we have worked with multiple state agencies on those programs. And so we know, again, what we need to do in terms of the reporting. We know what we need to do in terms of the bidding and the MWBE requirements. And we have a large staff that all knows how to work on grants. And so with this program, you have multiple projects. They're all going to need separate reporting requirements. And so I think the depth of our staff will help in making sure that process is efficient and effective. So next slide. I turn it over to James, who's going to talk about some of his projects that are relevant to this project as well from Trowbridge.
Great, thank you, Ed. Can everyone hear me okay? Actually, my camera was not working. Ironically, I went to a different location with a better setting behind me, but you guys can't see it, so.
Yep, can hear you.
Great, great. Thank you. So I'm James Fruchtel from Trowbridge Wolf Michaels Landscape Architects, and I would be the project manager for landscape architecture on the team. We're based in Ithaca, New York, and we would only be a short travel distance away. We're constantly working on projects which include the exact elements that you're looking for in these DRI projects. As you can see on the screen, here's a couple great examples. In Buffalo, we've designed the Industrial Heritage Trail and the Lakeside Bike Park Complex, which are similar to the Marvin Park, the Waterfront Access, and Riverwalk enhancements projects that you have going in your community. We worked with Cornell University to transform an underutilized courtyard into a very lively plaza for performance art venues. And we would envision a similar thing for the North Art Park, albeit on a larger scale and with more landscape that would reflect the unique identity of Owego. And we've also worked with artists to display their installations, and we've designed artwork on many projects as well, including other DRI projects in the area, as Ed said. So I will hand it back to Ed to speak more about that community engagement process.
Thanks, James. So with all of our planning projects, and especially with the DRI projects, we know that we want to be transparent in what we're doing and making sure we have the community engaged in the process. So with these projects, we will have community engagement programmed into our budget, as well as programmed into our schedule. And so we'd like to do meetings at the beginning of the project to get input from the community on what their preferences are for the projects, because they haven't seen these probably since you met with the local planning committee. We'd also like to talk to stakeholders, especially stakeholders that are near the project. It could be property owners, or it could be folks that have a stake in the project. And we'd also like to have a meeting at the end of the project once we have the draft designs together, so the community can comment on those too. And we can do them both virtually, which I have up on the screen here. This was our last meeting in Seneca Falls, where we did a Zoom meeting, and we also had a survey, an online survey, so folks could comment on some of the projects after the meeting. And if you go to the next slide, we've also had significant success having in-person meetings, and we know there are some of the COVID restrictions, but you can have up to 100 people now in certain meetings. And so we've been very successful in getting input on DRI projects and other projects we've worked on with planning projects. We also have started to do hybrid meetings. So we had a meeting the other night where we had an in-person meeting. Some people weren't comfortable coming to the meeting, so we also had it on Zoom as well. And so we would have all those opportunities to get input from the public so that they can comment on the final plans. Thanks.
Thank you, Ed.
On the last slide, my name is John Thierfelder. I'm the manager of construction for Labella. I am located in Binghamton, actually Vestal. Presently, I have a team of about 35 to 37 construction managers out in the field on a daily basis right now. We do get involved in projects from design, conceptual, all the way through to as-builts. That includes bid review, bid assembly, post-bid review, safety, every aspect of construction. We will have construction managers on site daily overseeing the work. We do look at materials management, 2-week look aheads, schedule maintenance, as well as safety. Safety should have been first, but safety, we do a daily tailboard with all of our contractors, ensuring everyone's at least heading in the right direction for the day. Is there anything else? As far as documentation on site, we have a daily report for the town, the village to see on progress. And we'll hold bi-weekly meetings, construction progress meetings.
Great, thank you, John. And so again, we're trying to be mindful of the time allocated. Just to kind of wrap things up, really the key, again, strengths that we feel we possess and that will result in a successful project for the village is, again, just the structure, the depth of our team and experience, especially our experience with the DRI projects and grant administration, and then the ability to have our in-house construction management services to really, and also engage that group during the design process to really maximize efficiency and minimize costs. And so again, we just want to thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight and to hopefully partner with you to achieve your vision for the downtown revitalization of the village of Owego. So I will stop sharing and we can entertain any questions. So thank you.
Thanks, guys. So yeah, we're gonna try and keep somewhat on schedule. But if the trustees have any questions for LaBella, go ahead. We have too many for the time. We always can email them to you guys too. I don't expect any decisions as far as who to go with tonight. I would expect by our next meeting on May 3rd, hopefully we'll have it sorted out. So no cage matches tonight.
My main question is, in your experience with these projects, do you use materials that are easy to maintenance during, like we are prone to flooding in certain areas, so we want to assure the longevity of the materials that are used in the project? Do you have, what experience you have in the projects that you have done that had that same problem or issue?
I can start off, Mike, if it's okay. I'll answer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
So, and James could probably follow, but James and I are currently working on a City of Batavia DRI project for a community meeting place in the center of downtown. And one of the things we keep stressing is we want to make sure that it meets the objectives of the DRI. It has an impact on downtown. But we also want to be on the practical side to make sure we have the materials, like you said, that will have long-term survival in that area, and also are easy to maintain for the future, because we know once these things are built, cities have limited resources to actually maintain them. So we want to make sure that they are able to be, maintained over the long term, but also still have the visual and impact on the community that was intended with the DRI plan.
Thank you, Ed. Yeah. And one thing I would like to add to this too is we're currently working up on the Buffalo Outer Harbor waterfront on several projects, as well as we've done overlooks and nature overlooks in Kirk Park in Syracuse, where there are a lot of floodplain and sort of wetland area mitigations that need to be done. So, boring down, doing helical piles, things like that for overlooks. And then when you're doing, construction next to floodplain areas, that you're really paying attention to what is a durable material, what can withstand and actually still provide that waterfront access you're looking for. Because one thing you mentioned was kayak tie-ups, you're mentioning, waterfront access and kayak light craft launches. So you really need to be cognizant of using easily accessed materials so people can get down to the water, but things that will not erode away, that will be solid over time. Does that answer your question?
Thank you. Yes, it does.
Okay, good.
If I can, Mayor. One of the problems we've had currently is a resident project manager. We have a lot of out of town, and we get a lot of cost incurred with travel and expensive of that nature. And you seem like they're close enough to where that wouldn't be a concern, but I just want to make sure that we're not going to get hit with mileage or lodging or things of that sort.
No, like I said, I will be the main point of contact and attending all the meetings as necessary, come right from the Elmira office. We wouldn't be needing to stay overnight or have any excessive travel costs. And really the fees we presented included any travel, so that wouldn't be a separate expense. And again, a lot of those are negotiable too, but no, we wouldn't be coming from long distances for the key point of contact for this.
And the construction management division is just right out of Vestal, so we're very close.
And during the design process, Trowbridge Wolf Michaels, we're right up in Ithaca. So, we're only about an hour or so away. We're not too far.
It seemed like everybody was within a reasonable distance. I just wanted to make sure there was no outliers.
Right.
Thank you.
No.
So I think Fran has one more question, then we'll turn over to Delta. And if the board has more questions for LaBella, that's fine. We can email them and get answers, throughout the next couple of days here.
My question is, as a general contractor, you cover the total liability insurance for all parts of the project, or are you dependent on your subcontractors to cover their own liability?
So we wouldn't be the general contractor. We're just providing the construction administration and oversight services as well as design.
So the job will be bid out and then the general contractor will bid on the job.
So we're not bidding on a general contractor at this time?
No, right now we're trying to pick an architecture firm.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we will say thank you to LaBella. And if we have any more questions from the board, I will get them to you guys. And other than that,
Great.
thank you.
Well, thank you again. We appreciate your time. So thank you.
So you didn't intend us to stay until after the meeting. We can sign off now. You're not going to have any more questions?
You can do whatever you want.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Nice meeting, everyone. Good luck with your
Thank you.
meeting.
Thank you.
Delta people on here.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Hello, how you doing?
So my name is Chris. Maybe are we ready to roll?
Yeah, does anybody have a PowerPoint or anything like that? I can make you the presenter.
Danielle Naylor does. She's
right.
muted, but she's got our slideshow.
Yeah. So now she should get a button down the middle of the screen when she accepts it to share the screen.
Everybody see my screen?
We can.
Perfect.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you for the opportunity to interview tonight. It's a great project that you guys have put together, and we look forward to explaining what we could do to assist you and hopefully become part of your team. Next slide, please. Briefly, our agenda, we're going to introduce everybody that's on the interview with us tonight, touch on the overview very quickly, our org chart, our subs, get into the project understanding, and then identify some projects that we've gone through successfully, similar to different elements that are involved in yours, just to give you a flavor of what we've done in the past and what we can bring to the table for you. We'll then get into a couple of fly-throughs, hopefully with video. It will work okay, and then close out with White Delta and questions and answers.
The next slide, my name is Anthony Panici. I'm president of Delta. I'll be the principal in charge. Chris Mabey will be your project manager. Jeff Stafford will assist with any building related projects. Mike Haas, our registered landscape architect, will assist, and you'll see a lot of projects he worked on, as Chris mentioned. And Danielle is here to assist us with the PowerPoint, and her job is to move the slides along every 15 seconds so that we can get through this PowerPoint. A little bit about Delta. We were established in 1976. We have, as you can see, I don't want to read everything here, but we're an ISO 9001 certified firm. We have checks and balances for everything. I think that's what separates us from our competition. We have most of the services in-house, and we'll be using WMBE subs to meet goals.
Briefly just touch on our org chart. As you can see, all the Delta names are filled in. About half of them are on the call with us tonight. The MWBE firms are not filled in. We've got a stable that we work with, Shoemaker locally, Floyd Albert, Lou, Watson Engineering. And our intent is to, once we locate, define a specific scope, that we will then pull in the appropriate sub to work with us and match or exceed what the requirements are for MBE, WBE, et cetera. Next slide.
The next 7 slides or so, I'm not going to read through each one, but what we wanted to do is convey back to you our understanding about what your needs are for the project relative to all of the programming, understanding what the projects are, coordinating with the New York State agency that's overseeing and regulating the project itself. And very similar to what we have done for you with the GOSA project in the municipal building, it's going to be a lot of the same work and the same process that that we'll go through, identifying projects, programming it, understanding what your vision is, comparing and contrasting the programming to that vision, developing the construction documents, going through the bidding process, and be in constant communication with, again, New York State and the regulatory agencies, so that we can ultimately see this all the way through construction.
Back to me. This is the list of the projects that are chosen. And one thing that rings through all of these, and I think that you're going to see it in our projects that we've completed, that we want to show you, is you're enhancing what you've got. Your resources are there. We're going to make them better. We're going to improve your infrastructure, excuse me, your lighting, getting better ways to park, improved ways to park, the art park, things like that. They all intertwine, and as Mike goes through his list of sample projects, I think you'll see that we've got the ability to pull from our past experience and bring it to you and weave all these together in a great unit.
Thank you, Chris. I'm Mike Haas, as I was introduced earlier, and we got a number of projects here that some of you may be familiar with. Certainly the Owego Historic Riverwalk was built many years ago, but really was a transformative project for the village in that it provided a gateway to the Finger Lakes and a really nice economic development stimulator, if you will, where private investment followed the public investment. And I know there were a lot of naysayers out there early on, but many of them came back afterwards to say what a great job we've done with that. There are numerous awards that's received, and it obviously survived numerous floods over the years too. There are a number of recreational amenities and drainage infrastructure projects. One was at Marvin Park. So Marvin Park, actually in 2002, I'm starting to date myself, but we actually produced a comprehensive building and site assessment report. I worked very closely with the fair board, so I know the fairgrounds. As a kid growing up in Owego, I attended the Tioga County Fair year after year, look forward to it. And I think there's many flooding issues there, and Owego Creek is certainly another element that can be tied into the fairgrounds as well as connected to the Riverwalk in Owego. Other projects that we worked on in Waverly, currently we're doing a project at the Waverly Glen, which is funded by the New York State Parks. And that was initiated with a master plan study that we produced. And 6 months later, we helped them land a $690,000 grant. That work will be finished this spring before Memorial Day. And that also includes new restrooms, which I think is something that you're probably going to be looking for with the Marvin Park improvements. We also finished a Kirby Park master plan recently in the village of Nichols, and that was a FEMA-funded project, obviously for flood control and flood recovery. We had to basically redesign the park to minimize the flood damages and any damages to buildings and so on. And that included the picnic pavilion, the basketball court, parking, playground, Little League field relocation.
Hey, Mike, let's move to the next slide. We got a lot more slides.
Yep. Well, to transform that last slide there, you know, we are working currently with Pat Gavin and the Pump House Group to redevelop that, or to develop that steamer house and accessory Eternal Flame Memorial. Other projects we work on, you know, help to transform vacant lots. Jennison Art Park, for example, is a park in Johnson City that we are currently working on. It's an art park. It's funded by the state, and it kind of is hinged between the Goodwill Theater and the new pharmacy school. Chris, I'm going to turn these over to you. These are some stormwater projects that we've worked on over the years too.
Yeah, so the one thing that we're focusing here on downtown parking options and different ways to tie it all in while greening up the space at the same time. The one I really want to focus on here is the Endicott DRI project. It's one that's a little bit ahead of what you're doing in Owego, but it brings all of what you're looking at together. We're looking to improve parking, drainage, streetscape, the amenities, making it a place where people want to come and stay and not just drive through. And we're going to show you a video shortly that will hopefully give you a better idea of what we're doing there. And then the kind of the oddball of the group is, you know, we're always looking to make improvements aesthetically. One thing that you need to do as you bring in more business, more tourism, is to improve your infrastructure to support all this. And we've got some great experience in doing that. These are just some sample projects. Colgate, for example, the water and sewer improvements there, replaced and upgraded some very antiquated stuff. Next slide.
So the lighting schemes, lighting comes in all different shapes and sizes. And today's technology with LED lighting, we have an array of creative uses for lighting. So currently in Olean, for example, we're helping them redevelop one of their main streets, a big commercial strip, with not only ambient lighting at night, but decorative lighting for holidays and other events and seasons. In Deposit, we did a very historic streetscape. Very fitting historic lighting was selected. And of course, in Owego Riverwalk, the lighting, that was the first LED lighting that was commercially available back then. I think Jeff Sewells would remember doing some mock-ups actually in the DPW garage to make sure that this lighting was going to be effective along the Riverwalk. And we've done everything, soup to nuts, you know, from small villages to Front Street, you know, where you got major commercial districts and even bridge lighting. And again, the gamut is out there for us to tap that technology and use it in very creative ways. Next slide.
So, we're kind of running tight on time. Danielle, let's skip this one and jump to the next one. And folks, the reason I'm doing that is I know that we're tight on time. We want to maintain schedule. What you're looking at is a scan of the existing conditions of the north end of Washington Ave in Endicott. We took our scanner out, and a picture paints 1,000 words. A video does even more than that. The village wants to transform this into something that is a lot less bland than what's out there now. You've got basic storefronts, sidewalk, curb, and a whole lot of pavement. And what we did was we went out, as I said, scanned the area, and then reviewed past studies and what the recommendations were. What can we do to make things better? And this is going to cycle back around and then go over into, there's a parking lot adjacent to it on Ideal Alley that also is part of the project. And as we're looking at this, our first task on the project is to identify what improvements can be made. So we went back to past studies, past recommendations. It's got a lot of history, much like yours. There's been a lot of faces that have had input, very good input in it. And we took that and built a video of here's what it could look like. Not saying that this is the end all be all, but this is what we took away from the past studies. As you can see, we've thinned up the paved area. We still got the parking. We've improved it with some wayfinding signage, a median strip, a solar powered pedestrian crosswalk that's motion activated so that the lights aren't blinking all the time, improve the safety of the crossing for people. One of the other things that they wanted to do on this one was bring the school potentially into tying this together, you know, as a local area, and do something in the intersection. So we pulled the logo of the school into the intersection and elevated the intersection. Again, this is not a locked in, this is what they're gonna do, just something that we came up with that we can share. And this is a tool that we would use going forward as getting feedback on your projects. We would develop something similar to this with, here's some options, what we're looking at, what do you, the public, think of this? And then this, where we end right there, that was just tying in the backside of the buildings. It's basically a second storefront for them on right now an underutilized parking area. What can we do to improve the utilization of that parking? We suggested, well, we could put a bandstand in the corner and turn something into, you know, a Friday night weekend activity place where you can get people you may not draw during the week into the area. And the other thing that we would encourage you to consider, and something that we're doing with the Endicott project, is to build a website. Not just to get the information out there, but to solicit feedback. You can put the videos up on that. You can post surveys on there so that if somebody can't make it to an in-person public meeting, if there is one, if COVID allows these things, or they're not comfortable in going, that they've still got an opportunity to see what's going on with the project and give you feedback. And also you can get a schedule up there for what is available time-wise in project development. Next slide. So we'll close with, well, why Delta? I think we're showing what Mike's done and the other projects that are listed. We've been around the block several times with projects on state and federal funding. We know that process and we know it well. Our working relationships with the agencies, many people we know on a first name basis. So if a question comes up, we can get it answered pretty quickly, rather than something, I mean, there are times where it has to be very formal, but if you've got a what if question, we can usually get them answered pretty quickly. We're in the area, you know, we're 20 minutes away, 25 minutes from our office to downtown Owego. And, you know, we're not just gonna build this, we're gonna use it. I mean, Mike grew up there. There's several people on our team that are, you know, native to Owego in the Owego area. And like I said, we're very close. And with that, we thank you. We think that together we could make a very good team, and we'll open it up to questions.
We'll do the same thing. If any of the trustees have kind of quick questions for Delta, we'll take them now. And just for Delta input, we don't plan to make a decision tonight. Hopefully by our next meeting, May 3rd, we'll have some sort of a decision.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you elaborate on the what your idea of enhanced recreation amenities for Marvin Park? I mean, at this moment, we had a skate park. Well, the kids make the best of use of it, of what's there. We have a pool. There's a playground, picnic area, and in the last few years, meaning 10 that I've been here, I've never heard any of our youth utter the phrase, "Let's go out and play some tennis." So the tennis court that we have went to garbage. There's weeds growing through it. So I would hate to see something put in that'll be not used. I mean, we do have interest in basketball, but what do you have as far as to enhance the interest of our youth, to get them out from in front of their Xboxes and PlayStations and get them out there to actually come to a park to play?
I'll take that, I guess. I think the park itself has to be upgraded and made to a point where people want to come there. You know, it includes the amenities like landscaping, good lighting, good access, and good signage, obviously. Its relationship, again, to the Owego Creek might be an advantage, again, with activities such as mountain biking. Our project in Waverly invites people from out of town, and the mayor there has said he's had a lot of inquiries from people out of state because it's contiguous to state parkland, which is now being promoted as a great mountain biking venue. You mentioned something about tennis courts. You know, tennis courts are falling kind of by the wayside in our experience, and being replaced by other types of courts. Basketball is still very popular. In Kirby Park, we added a basketball court. In Waverly, we've actually eliminated one tennis court in favor of a more improved and safer entrance to the park. And I think there's some other opportunities there. I don't know if it's ever been discussed, but I know back in years past in our feasibility study, we actually suggested maybe RV camping in some places. This would bring in additional revenue that the Fair Board would certainly appreciate on off times. You know, everything is always geared towards the Tioga County Fair, but are there other opportunities to bring revenue in to such a large piece of land within the village? So those are some ideas that we can certainly promote. And I think the youth, you know, certainly playgrounds are going to be of interest to youth, but now you can look at other types of activities like zip lines, for example, and the skate park, upgrading the skate park so it's a little safer and more compatible for a wider range of youth.
Right. I like to keep my ears to the community. Facebook, a lot of people like to make comments on Facebook, and there's a lot of interest in a splash park area. And like, we do have a pool, and right in that vicinity would be great. I'm just mentioning that because a lot of people had that idea, and I would want to go on record as presenting that idea to this.
Good suggestion.
So I'm just delving into my own youth and childhood because I'm a kid at heart, and I like to see the planet through children's eyes sometime to keep the innocence that's somewhat alive in me. With the things that are going on in today's world, it's very hard to do that. And I like the signage and everything. That's all great and good for adults, but to grab that interest of youth, to have them come out of the house and be active out in the world once again.
Certainly. I think a splash park's a great idea. You have to weigh the cost benefit ratio of that. They're very expensive and they're only operable during maybe the summer months. And they do require quite a bit of maintenance. So you got to look at, do we have the staff that can maintain this on a regular basis? You know, it's hard to call on volunteers for an element such as a splash park. But, you know, we've had a lot of experience. I designed the Story Garden in Binghamton, which is a great venue for children and families. It puts kids in a learning environment while they're playing. And we've done a number of projects similar to that were geared more towards the youth of our communities.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody else have any quick questions for Delta? Then we'll move on to front. All right, so same thing. If the board has any questions, they can give them to me and I can email them to you guys throughout the next couple of days here.
Sure.
And thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Again, we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to Hunt. I see them on the call. And obviously you guys can go a little bit past your time because we're running 5 or 10 minutes late now anyway, but that's okay.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Tim Steed here, and I believe Jennifer Vaughn and Lisa Nagel will be joining us as well. There's Lisa.
Does somebody want to present? I can.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you
Jen
could give me
Vaughn.
permission, yeah.
All right, Jen, you should get a pop-up.
I
And
have
then-
it now, thank you.
Share screen button down the bottom. All right.
And I would like to share the correct screen. Minimize this.
This helps, right? And I'll just prefix it with the same thing I told them all. We're just kind of taking the presentations tonight, and we'll collect any questions, and hopefully we'll have a decision by next meeting.
All right, so you should see the Hunt introductory slide at this point. Perfect. So Tim's gonna start us off.
And we'll try to be quick and move it right along. If it's easier, if you guys have any questions as we go along, feel free to let us know. I think that's the type of team that we've developed. We've developed a real hands-on approach. So feel free to, before you forget your questions or what have you, don't hesitate to interrupt. So first of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to propose on this transformational DRI project. It's exciting. And in preparation for that, Hunt has developed a strong, what we believe is a strong team with what I just mentioned, a hands-on approach that has as much local presence as possible, has relevant project experience, has relevant DRI experience, and ultimately experience with the village, and a track record to demonstrate that we look and try to serve and do what's right for the village. Being a member of a municipal board myself, I understand the desire to stretch a dollar, especially during these economically difficult times. And as a result, I think our one thing that we looked at, and you'll see, and we'll be able to talk about a little bit greater detail, was our team's approach to utilize prior planning efforts, not necessarily reinvent the wheel, but focus our efforts on refinement of those planning efforts. There might be some changes here or there with what the public or the board or members of the village staff have to say, and really focus the dollars that you've received from the state on implementation of the project. And I think the proposed improvements and that the work that goes along with that lends credence to that approach. There's a lot of things that don't take a lot of replanning. So I think you can focus your dollars on that implementation piece. And so that's why you'll see our fee was aggressive. And that is because we wanted to make sure that the maximum dollars were put towards construction. As you'll see in the brief presentation that we've developed, and Jen will lead us through in a minute, we developed a strong team with a well-defined approach, a well-defined process that will allow the Hunt team and ultimately the village to develop a successful project. So with that, Jen, would you like to kick us off?
Sure. So our goal with this discussion right now is really to move through it quickly. As Tim said, we do welcome your questions throughout. We will highlight the specific questions that you asked in advance of this interview. And I'm going to go ahead and move to the team that we've assembled. So we're really excited to be working with Alon and Watson Engineering and Robbie Engineering on this call. This time is Lisa is with us from Alon, and so she'll talk you a little bit through the specifics of her organization, but we'll be utilizing them to provide design lead, DRI compliance, and public information, and they are a certified WBE firm. And then Watson Engineering is local to Owego, and we'll be working with them with electrical and lighting design. And Ravi, Mike and Dan on that team, they'll be providing land survey and construction management. And so Tim's going to talk about Hunt being our principal in charge.
And so the Hunt team members chosen for this project were done so to provide full service capabilities. We have a well-refined team. However, it's very easy to have, we want to make sure there's redundancy to our team members. It's easier when you're dealing with electric, and we have Watson who is very good in their own right, our electrical people talking to their electrical people, and more eyes, more expertise on the project definitely pays dividends. But this team also has relevant project experience, full, as I mentioned, full service capabilities, experience working on projects within the village. Jen is known to the village. She's worked hard with grant administration and grant acquisition. Jen is a civil engineer by trade, but has a strong focus in that funding assistance. Gary Henry has worked on many projects within the community, including last with the fire station. Nate Binns and Greg Barr and myself have worked on the recent disinfection project. And also we assisted Suez on the Lake Street water main project. And it's really there I developed a strong appreciation for the business community and things and concerns that the business community has. And so I'll be your principal in charge. And I think as the wastewater treatment plant staff will tell you, I'm not afraid to jump in and become involved. I'm not an absent principal in charge that you only see once in a while. So I'm willing to jump in and get my hands dirty. Jen will be our project manager. Jen brings a very, very strong funding assistance understanding to the team, broad range of technical skills, and what I would say organizational skills that are second to none. And, I could provide references, plenty of references that would prove that. And I think that's a strong project manager is key to the project success.
Yeah, and to answer an additional question you had, who would be your main point of contact? I'll serve as your main point of contact and bring in all the team members as they're needed and just keep the flow of communication smooth and consistent. Now I'm going to move to Lisa to introduce her team.
Great. Well, thanks. It's nice to see some of you again. Know a couple of faces there on the screen. So I'm Lisa Nagel with Alon Planning and Design. We're calling you from Saratoga Springs, New York tonight. But I'm from Elmira, New York originally. And actually Tim's family and my family go way back. And we've known each other for a long time. And we frequently work with Hunt in the capacity that we're the designers. So the engineers, civil engineers, electrical engineers, et cetera, will get the project built. But we'll come in the early part and help design it. So it's a sensitive design. Just in terms of Owego, we've worked with you on your BOA pre-nomination study. I think Jeff Sewell's, we did that with you. The comprehensive plan update, also with Jeff. And then also after the flooding of Irene and Lee, we helped with the long-term community recovery strategy for Owego. And then we also worked on the New York Rising plan for Tioga County, to which the village was a party to that. So very familiar, with Owego. Love it. It's a beautiful community. Really, know Marvin Park. We know the river. We know the creek. We actually also worked on the playground after the flood. I'm just remembering we also did the playground up at the school, the elementary school. And also we have a lot of DRI experience. I wrote the successful grant application for the city of Glens Falls in round 1. And I worked on 2 plans, one for the city of Watertown and also one for the city of Utica. And we're currently writing 2 other applications. If the DRI round opens up again this year, we think it's going to because it's in the budget. And I say that because we have a lot of DRI experience and there's a lot of moving parts. We have been working with Department of State, who's the entity where your contract is with, to get this done. I've been working with Department of State since 1995. Jen will talk a little bit about the paperwork and reporting and all of that. We're certainly extremely familiar with Department of State. We have good friends there. You're probably working with Julie Sweet, who I know quite well. I've known her for years, and really enjoy working with them. So I'll be the principal in charge out of Alon. I'm a planner, community planner, and a registered landscape architect. My business partner is Jer Tadich. Jerry actually hails from Endicott. He's actually redoing a house that he'll be putting up for sale pretty soon near his mother on Buffalo Street, near the Butcher Boy there. Jer and I still spend a lot of time in the Southern Tier. Jer's a great designer. He's been doing landscape architecture for about 35 years. I He's overseen hundreds of millions of dollars in construction in his career, and we're very adept at working with folks like Hunt. So we don't have engineers on our staff. We always team in this capacity to provide design and then work with engineering firms. Susan Caravana, some of you may recognize Susan as our senior planner. She's our specialist in public outreach, whether it be, I think I heard mention of Facebook, whether it's working on Facebook or other social media platforms, the web page, doing online surveys, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, some ideas, because you have that question as well. Susan also was the primary author of the comprehensive plan update, so she has a strong familiarity with the village. So choosing, from our folks at Elan, we feel this is a strong team, and I'll work closely with Jen in terms of, answering questions via Jen.
Thank you. Thanks, Lisa. So the project approach is three primary working functions. One will be the planning and design services, supported strongly by Elan and teaming with Hunt. There'll be a community participation that will occur during planning and design as well as during the construction. And then our construction management services, all the bid document development and construction administration, construction inspection. And then the whole process is underlaid by that downtown revitalization initiative program administration for the grant, and helping the community to be on time with all those required submittals and helping to make that as smooth and efficient as possible. So the goal is to work with your existing design plans that you have, and then to strengthen those and help them to be refined to stay within the budget. And then the next three slides will dive into each of these areas with more detail. So the planning and design services, it will include the planning, site research and analysis, developing that preliminary design and design development, and preparing the construction documentation that goes along with that. Under each of those headings, you can see the deliverables that you can expect. But I want to give Lisa an opportunity here to talk further about the design process, since that's her main contribution. Thank you, Lisa.
Right, thanks. Yeah, so as Jen said, we have a starting point, right? You have your GRI plan, and that's certainly where we want to begin. We need to respect the dollars that you have in the grant that was awarded to you. So we'll be looking at each of the project areas. Even during the pandemic, we've been meeting outside. We've been going to communities and being socially distant with masks outside. Hopefully we're, turning that corner a little bit. So we will be there. We'll be boots on the ground. As I said, we're very familiar with the village currently as it is. We will coordinate too, and I'll talk a little bit about how we're going to coordinate with the stakeholders in a slide coming up here. But we know that you're working with the Cornell Design Connect team there on North Street and their work there. So we want to make sure we're closely coordinating with them. We saw that you had a meeting the other night on that as well. And as we work through the preliminary design, we'll work with you, we'll work with, say, a small steering committee, the village board, and other agencies. At some point, at one point where we have a design, we're working with Hunt all along. And when we have the design and everybody's comfortable with it, and we've had some public input on it, which we'll talk about, at that point, Hunt, I always say, starts to engineer it and really start to make it happen. But we're working alongside each other the whole time we're designing, because we don't want to design something that can't be built or out of your budget or is unrealistic. So we're a very close working team together. And then we hand the baton over to them to finalize the construction documentation. So the community participation here, you did a lot during the DRI, and we always want to be cognizant of people maybe getting tired and not wanting to participate. I will say during the pandemic, we have had tremendous success with online participation, and we haven't had any in-person meetings in a year, but the online participation is great. We're doing a local waterfront revitalization plan for a community in the Adirondacks, a very small community, and we've had almost 350 people answer the survey. We use Facebook. If you're using that as a platform with like Facebook Live, we'll do a live presentation, record the presentation, look at the Facebook comments, and then often launch a survey. So there's all kinds of tools that we have even in these times here. So the very first thing we'll do though is create a schedule for the release. That's what I call a public participation plan, and that's what Department of State calls it. And that's where we outline everything, what we're doing, when might we have public meetings, either online or in person, where are we posting information, and everything's sort of in one 3 or 4 to 5 page document. And that's something that somebody could look at really easily. It's like, how am I going to find out about this project? It would be right there. I do see you have a landing page on your village website for the DRI. We could jump right on that and use that as one of the venues to put, we could work with your IT administrator and use that, or we could set up an individual site that links over to your village site. That's just depends on the staff capacity at your end. One of the key things that we see though too are the stakeholders and talking with them all along, and those might be property owners. They might be maybe like the DEC on the site over, it could be the fairgrounds, it could be any key individuals. And in this capacity, having the Zoom or GoToMeeting or whatever platform you want to have, we find that we're doing more and more stakeholders. So we get everybody, we can talk to a lot of people and get a lot of great information as we're designing, and we'll hit that heavy in the beginning. We will talk about meetings to get public input, and those will be scheduled strategically as we move through the design and share it. And there'll be plenty of opportunity for people to look and react and provide some input. And I talked about the web page. And then, any other type of social media venues or any other flyers or press releases that we can write on your behalf, we'll assist with that and that as well. So kind of all the sub bullets underneath here get rolled up into that top bullet, which is that public participation plan, where we'll highlight all of these activities, and we will hone that and talk and work with you to understand what are the best methods for the village of Owego to get that word out there.
Thanks, Lisa. So Tim, you want to talk through the construction administration and inspection?
Yeah, and out of interest of brevity, I will continue the hands-on approach throughout as a project starts to move towards the construction phase. Much like we have with other projects we worked on with the village, we'll work with you directly to put the project out to bid, help you out with the advertisements to comply with the funding requirements, assist with the document distribution, respond to bidder comments, questions, really guide you through that process from the beginning of the bidding phase to the end of the bidding phase with a recommendation of why we feel an award should be made to a contractor. Once the construction starts, we'll work on 2 fronts: work on the construction administration side and work on the inspection side. The construction administration side is much more intensive. That's working with you to review any contractor activities, payment requests, change orders, contractor questions, developing any closeout documents that may be necessary, whether it's as-built documents, it's O&M manuals, it's the contractors' closeout documents themselves. And then the construction inspection side, speaking about the efficiencies that we started off this conversation with, we're looking to have those efficiencies embedded in the construction inspection process. Not all activities require full-time inspection. We don't necessarily need a construction inspector to sit and watch topsoil restoration or some grading activities. And I think focusing the construction inspection on the areas that are required or that the village feels strongly about, and also the activities that are necessary, below grade installations, etc., pavement installations. So some of those items will allow us to be efficient on the construction inspection side. When you wrap the bidding, the construction admin, the construction inspection all together, that's that construction management effort that we're looking to assist the village with, as the project starts to move towards construction. And I will say again, talking back about the hands-on approach, when we review submittals, whether it's the sewer line, back of Lake Street, whether or not it's any storm systems, what have you. We'll review submittals that are provided to us by the contractor, but we'll also coordinate with your respective divisions to ensure that the village is accepting of the proposed material and the proposed actions before we unilaterally go ahead and accept any of those type of submittals. So we'll work closely with the village as we move through the bidding and construction phase. Jen?
Yep. So one of the questions that you provided in advance was, does the bid include community input, construction management, and grant administration? We've answered 2 of those already with yes to the construction management and the community input. And for the grant administration, yes, we'll support with that as well. As Lisa stated, Alon has a great deal of experience with DRI administration and understanding and very close contact with Department of State. So we'll utilize that connection and then build on that with Hunt's experiences with DRI participation and help the village to complete these deliverables on time. The budget, you'd also asked about the individual project budgets. So we took a look at the DRI application request and compared that with what was awarded, and then also went ahead and did some of our own thoughts on what would be required in order to complete the design, construction management, community participation, grant administration, the whole thing. And you'll see in the first column is the breakdown of our proposal costs. And we will work with you to adjust project costs to stay within that budget, recognizing that the DRI gives you a fixed sum to work with. And then finally, you had also asked about MWBE and the veteran-owned business participation. And this is our plan. We'll be teaming with Ravi Engineering and Minority Business Enterprise, Alon, who's a woman business enterprise, and then Watson Engineering, the veteran-owned business. And we'll work to achieve or meet those DRI goals that are established. So with that, we'd like to turn it over to you for any questions and response. And I will stop sharing my screen so we can just see each other's faces. But yeah, we welcome a discussion at this time. Thank you.
Anybody else want to go first?
Or Hunt?
Huh?
I think you're it, Charles. Hit him.
Okay. I think a lot of things were covered in this, but I just want to state that I like the idea of the local businesses will be in our area will be included and utilized in the upcoming area projects. And I'm sure from your past projects working with our village on other things, you already got an earful of what our village needs and don't need. So I think a lot of shortcuts in the right direction have already been taken towards this project. And I thank you for your time and explaining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the board? Questions for Hunt? All right, so we'll do the same thing. I'll collect any other questions that we have. I know you guys sent in the questions we asked. You sent back. I sent that out to everybody, so everybody saw that. And we should know by next meeting, May 3rd, I think it is.
Okay.
Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you very much, and good luck with your selection process. Thank you.
Thank you.
One of your things, a couple down on the agenda if you want to hang out, but you don't have to.
Well, I'd be more than happy to. I can. I talked a little bit with Tracy about that. I'd be happy to hang on. No issues.
Okay.
Good night, everybody. Have a great night.
Yeah, you guys too. If you want to drop off, you can. If not, you can hang on. We'll do public comment next. Just that's how we usually start the meeting. We didn't tonight. We did the presentation. So, does anybody have public comment?
Mike, it's Peter Gordon. I'm a village resident and acting for the Friends of Evergreen. And on the plus side, I'm going to talk about a freebie. Um, the I think all of the board members have seen Rod passed around copies of a proposal for putting 2 signs to historical and tourist marker signs in Evergreen Cemetery, one at the mortuary chapel and one up by the caretaker's cottage. And those are preliminary designs. And what we need now is for the board to give not final approval, but general a general statement that such signs can be developed, pending, the board having a look at the final designs. They would both be 4x6 full color, mounted on 4x4 posts, vinyl clad. They are going to cost about $3,000 or $4,000, and we're fundraising for that right now. We have the basic design that we've sent to you, along with the models from the Ithaca Cemetery and the Fort Hill Cemetery in Auburn. So before we continue to spend money, we sort of need to know if it's at all conceivable, and if there are any specifics on that.
Okay.
And I'm done.
Anybody?
Mike, do you have I have a short presentation to give. Can you give me control of the screen? Just a short PowerPoint.
Do we want to do the cemetery committee thing first?
Okay, so I'm sorry. Are you going to defer this? The idea of a sort
I
of
would make that the Friends of Evergreen be allowed to come up with designs and present to us for the signage that can be used at the mortuary chapel and the caretaker's cottage.
I'll second that.
Okay. So do we have any discussion on that? This is for them to come up with signs, designs and present them to us before final, to move forward, I guess.
I guess my one question would be to Jeff Souls. Do you have any particular issues with this going on, Jeff?
Can you hear me? First of all,
yeah.
They've already been in contact with me, and I've seen preliminary designs, so I don't have a problem with it at all.
I had a feeling as such. I saw the email and the pictures, and I was pretty impressed with what they want to do. I just wanted to make sure that you were definitely on the same page.
Oh yeah, yep.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you very much.
We got to vote. Hang on, I didn't make my list here.
Oh.
I'm going to go by, make the list now. Charles?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
It's Laura?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Rusty, Rusty's on the phone, everybody. He called in. Rusty, you want to vote?
Am I unmuted?
You're
Mike, am I
live.
unmuted? Yeah, leave me unmuted. This is the vote to give some direction to the cemetery, president of the cemetery. They're going to raise the funds.
Yep.
And then we'll, of course, still have some with the final sign design, just to have it move along on that.
Correct.
I vote yes.
Okay, Rusty votes yes, and I vote yes. Did I miss anybody, right? We don't have Ed. Ed couldn't make it tonight.
Thank you, Peter.
All right. Anything else, Peter?
Thank you very much. That's it.
Hey, Peter.
Rod has something for you.
Hey, Peter.
Yes.
We at the office here, we tuned into your website at the cemetery. We brought up the people.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Great.
Evergreen.
The tour of the cemetery.
The virtual tour.
Oh, thank you. We had a lot of fun making it.
That was very impressive. So I've been telling people to log into that.
Right. Well, that inspired the book, and we, Mike and Fran, were at Laura's shop, and we sold a lot of copies on Saturday.
And I will say a little plug for the book. If you haven't been down to Laura's shop to get it, it's $20. I'm up to chapter 4. It's a pretty good book so far. I learned some stuff.
And she's giving us 60% royalty on the books, and that all goes to the cemetery.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. All right, so we'll turn over to Jeff. He has something for us about the water.
Can you see my screen, Mike?
We can.
Okay. So I just wanted to come tonight to inform the village as well as the DPW and the sewer department and the fire department. Suez has done a pilot study over the last 3 years on fire hydrants. Therefore, we're going to be switching brand of fire hydrants and types of fire hydrants we're using. And I will go through a short presentation to try and show the benefits of them, what they look like, and then I'll let you know what we're going to be doing with them. So the first slide just basically shows the components of how a hydrant has evolved over the last several years, and to what we have now on the right-hand side, as composed to what used to be back in 1934 and 1947 at the top left-hand side. So it just kind of shows the evolution of the fire hydrant. I'll go into some points on the new fire hydrants now. Basically, they have standard security features that reduce water theft. The redesigned lower valve prevents leaks and frozen hydrants. So it'll actually prevent the hydrant from freezing. It's got four leak holes, weep holes in the bottom, so it drains a lot faster and a lot better. Weep holes also are in a channel, so the channel can't get plugged. The holes can't get plugged because of the channel covering them. They're flood proof. They're also vibration and water hammer proof. Basically, the vibration of water hammer is eliminated. They can't cause a water hammer, which will cause water main breaks and things like that. They're all stainless steel inside and eco brass internal parts. They're powder coated ductile iron body, reduce annual repair and maintenance costs. The overall design allows for increased water flow and less pressure drop. These hydrants have actually been proven to be in the same exact spot as one of our old hydrants and have 300 gallons a minute increased in flow, as well as almost a 8 to 10 pound pressure difference. So the old hydrant will actually drop the pressure lower. These hydrants will actually keep the pressure up. They're marine grade stainless steel stems. All the parts below the valve are acetyl palm bushings allow for smooth operation. They're also coated, which also allows for smooth operation and less friction. Their secure design protects all the internal working parts from vandalism and abuse. There's no parts that are sticking out, so you have no side nozzles that are sticking off of it that people are running their legs into and stuff like that. And the hydrant has a 25-year entire hydrant warranty, including the paint job, for 25 years. So you can kind of see the benefits of these hydrants and why we're switching to them. This here next slide shows you what the hydrant looks like. It's basically a straight shaft and it comes up to a ball head. It has two 2.5-inch nozzles, both on each side. And then it has the big steamer nozzle, pumper nozzle in the front. You can see down here is the lower ball. It has a lower valve. It has a, sorry, it has 3 position stabilizer instead of a 2 where the old hydrants have a 2. So when you close it, that's what actually allows for no water hammer or helps with no water hammer. Down in New York, lower portion of New York, that's where they did the pilot study for these. They did it through 26 different fire departments. They did 3 different presentations throughout the county. It was Rockland County. 6 months worth of meetings and discussions at fire chief meetings and commission meetings. And they did 3 field trainings where Siglock, which is the manufacturer of the company, actually comes up and did some kind of field training for the fire department plus for Suez. Now I have talked with Siglock and that they're absolutely willing to come up here and do it for us. The idea was to install one and then try and get with Jimmy and the fire department to try and set up some kind of training for them so that they can actually use it instead of just looking at a cutout of the fire hydrant itself. And then they had 6 months worth of training on it where they actually installed it at the fire training center in Rockland County, and all the fire departments used it, and we've gotten 0 complaints from them. In fact, we're getting requests from fire departments to start putting these into their areas and to get rid of some of the old ones. Just some pointers on theft. If people are using hydrants when they shouldn't be using them, they can cause severe main breaks, as you can see some of the pictures there. Obviously it increases our non-revenue water, which is Public Service Commission driven, and it also increase high cost, which is also rate driven. So if we can keep that high cost down, that would help with cost, passed on to the customer. Also, these are more secure, so they're old ones are easier access for terrorists, and also old ones have backflow concerns. So that's pretty much the presentation I have, but this is what the new fire hydrants basically will look like. They'll be yellow in color still to keep the color same, and they will have black caps on them instead of the chrome ones. But we're ordering 6 of them for now, and we're going to be putting them in at locations around the village. And like I said, I've also worked it out with Siglock that they will give us 25 free keys to these things so that I can have some for us and also provide them to the fire department so they'll have their keys. Also, they can provide some keys to local fire departments for mutual aid purposes or whatever. So those will be provided to us at free of charge, and to you guys as well as for free of charge. I'll also provide to the DPW so that they can use them on their street sweeper, and also to the sewer department so they can use it when they fill up their vacuum trucks. Like I said, there seems to be a lot of benefits to them. That's why we're switching to them. So anybody have any questions or concerns, or any questions I can try and find out answers to if I don't know them right now?
I guess would be probably Jules and Tracy.
Jeff, this is Jim. Can you email me all this information?
Yep, I have all the attachments and everything, Jimmy. I can send it all to you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. Hey, Jim, if we could also get together and maybe figure out what best time works to train on these things or whatever.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I hate to be that guy, Jeff, but everyone's thinking, is this going to cause an increase to any of the water cost at this time, or that you're aware of?
That I'm aware of right now, Ron, no. We're under the current rate case, so it will not, by putting these in, it wouldn't increase now, and going forward, I don't see it increasing. Again, that's something that we can talk about and take up when the next rate case comes around. But right now, the rates are all set. So no matter what hydrant I put in, you guys are, you're locked into wherever you're locked into.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. I just know a lot of people will be wondering that.
Yep.
Now, are you looking to replace a certain number of hydrants each year?
Yep. So we, on a typical basis, we replace 5 hydrants each year. We try and replace the ones that we have issues with winterizing. So if they're not draining properly, or if we know of a hydrant that's giving certain people certain problems, we try and replace those or get them on a list so that we can at least knock off the first 5 of them and then concentrate on next 6 through 10 the following year. So right now this year, I know the one that we're going to be replacing because the valve it drops, so it causes some kind of hammer, will be the one on North Avenue, pretty much right in front of Confection Connection. So that one has a valve issue, so we will be replacing that there with one of the new ones. We also will be replacing the one across from Boyd and Van Scoy on East Avenue. There's an old gray one there. It's an old Matthews, I believe. So we'll be getting that out of the system. And then obviously from after those 2, we can look at other possibilities of other 3 or 4. We plan on doing 6 this year. So.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike?
Rusty has something. He's on
Mike, this is Rusty. Can you hear me?
Yeah, everybody can.
Yeah, the others can hear me. Jeff, you can hear me?
Yep.
Jeff can hear what I'm saying too?
Yep.
Yeah, I can, yep.
I'm not going to talk about it now. I worked for the Waterworks and have 2 smashed fingers from putting in fire hydrants, and so I'd like to chat with you about that when I get back in town. Talk to you then.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything for Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff, unrelated to this fire hydrant project, are you working on the corner of Green Street on East Temple? Is that your project down there?
No.
That's sewer.
Yeah, that's sewer.
Okay, well, never mind.
That's coming up next, Charles.
Okay.
Anything else?
Well, good try, Charles. Can you fix that for us, Jeff?
I know, it's quite a massive speed bump. We always want a speed bump. We got a huge one.
Yeah.
Anything else, Jeff? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Yep.
Can you stop sharing so that, there we go, perfect. All right, so does anybody else have any public comment? I forgot we're still in public comment time.
Yeah, it's Jim King.
Hey, Jim.
Hi. I have two things to talk about. One of them is insurance. I volunteered to again review the insurance policies that affect the squad, and I'd like to take, get with Rod and as he's doing his review and make sure we've implemented the recommendations that we needed to, things that we needed to get changed. And I think some of those are the fire department, so maybe Jim wants to be part of that as well.
Yeah, Rod said that's a good idea. I know he had the insurance guy here today talking to him about stuff. So.
All right, so I'm stepping up and raising my hand, and I'd like to, take part in that.
Okay.
The other issue is one that you've heard me harp on before, and that's creating an EMS fund like the sewer fund for managing the EMS department's budgets at the village board level. I understand that takes a resolution of the board. We're coming up on budget time here, and I'd like to see that kind of a board, solution adopted. And we're running out of time to do that. I'd like to see it happen.
Yep, there is a chatter on that among the board, I will say. I know we've consulted our auditor and got their comptroller opinion, so I think something like that might happen pretty soon.
That would be wonderful. We'd really appreciate that. So
Yeah,
that's all I.
Email from Cindy on that she had been checking out with the CPA and that there was no problems with doing it. The board just has to decide to do it. That way the money's coming in from the insurance would go into that account and all expenses would come out of that account.
Yeah, it'll be a little
We'd have a
cleaner.
complete counting of what was going on.
Essentially what we're doing today, but cleaner for the clerk's office and the auditing side of it.
Absolutely. I think it helps the village board immensely, and it would make us happy. So I think it's a win. We've got to do it.
Yeah.
So I would propose that the board passed a resolution to create the emergency services fund for the purpose of depositing all the insurance reimbursement funds for the EMS services and for then the disbursement of expenses for the EMS department. And that would be done through the clerk's office, of course.
That sounds like a motion to me.
Yeah, that was the motion.
All right.
What are we doing?
So folks, just real quick, my only caveat to that would be putting an effective date on it, because this is the type of thing that probably Rod and his folks can't just flip a switch for and do it immediately.
No. Cindy wanted August 1st for next budget season.
By August 1st, so that yeah.
Right.
That would make sense.
Mike, I'm not privy. Is this a motion?
Is a motion, yeah.
Yes,
Fran just
I
made
just
one.
made a motion that we
What is it?
create emergency services fund for the purpose of depositing all the insurance reimbursement funds from the EMS services and for the disbursement of expenses for the EMS department. And this would be under the control of the village clerk's office.
What was that last part?
It will be under the control of the village clerk's office, as it is now.
Well, we've talked
and
about
the board.
doing this, and we're still talking about doing this, and we still haven't decided which type of fund we want, what we want to do exactly. So why are we jumping to do it yet when we still haven't figured that all out?
Because the email we got from Cindy said that there was no problem with doing it. The board just had to pass a resolution for the clerk's office to set up this fund.
Well, that's fine that Cindy said that there's no problem with doing it, but we haven't decided what kind of fund we're going to do and how we're going to do this yet. And that's why we were talking about doing this during our budget process. So if we don't still know exactly what we're doing, why would we make a motion now when we're not sure exactly what kind of fund we're going to set?
All right. Maybe I need to modify what I was saying. That we would give the clerk's office the authority to come up with the different types of accounts that would be available for this purpose and bring it to the board for approval.
Well, we don't have to have a motion to do that. We just ask them to do that. Well, that's just Mayor.
Want to do that next meeting? We'll put it on the agenda.
Okay, we'll put it on next week's agenda. All right.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Is that Fran, does that work for you?
Yeah, I mean, if we don't want to, if we need more discussion on it and more information from the clerk's office, then we'll discuss it further at our next board meeting.
Yes, because we have a number of different options and thoughts from our accountant, from our auditor, so we probably ought to look at those and figure out what we're going to do.
Yeah, that's fine.
Make sense?
Rodney said he can get us more info and we'll put it on the agenda next meeting.
This isn't gonna be implemented till at least August 1st, right? So we got a little bit of time to play with.
Yeah, no, we got time.
And do it fast.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
it's
no,
not
we got.
done till August anyway.
We're not.
We tabled it till the next meeting.
Fran tabled the motion.
Yeah, we got plenty of time on that one.
Okay.
Okay, so do we have any other public comment? I don't see any other public. So we will go to the hunt stuff. Approve hunt proposal for engineering service, force main on Green Street, Charles. I'll let Tracy explain what's going on here. Well, and Tim if he wants.
Can everybody hear me? This is Tracy.
Yep.
So we had, the force main coming up from the Green Street pump station lifts the sewage from the lower section of Green Street up into the intersection of East Temple there. Back a week and a half ago, we started to see some seeping coming up from the ground. Further investigation, it appeared the force main was starting to leak. We've had problems with this in the past on different occasions. We put a temporary one in above ground to get us through until we can have it replaced. Like I say, it's been repaired 4 or 5 times at least that I'm aware of, possibly more than that, but that's just what that I'm aware of. So I'd like to get that replaced out of the reserve fund for the sewer line reserves.
Capital improvement.
Yeah, the capital improvement project. So I asked Hunt to put a proposal together to write up the specs and do up a drawing and stuff on that so we can get this bid out and get moving on this. And the proposal is for $9,660 for them to do the work as far as the design and specs on it.
That's for the engineering work.
Right.
What was the total on that?
9,660.
Sorry, Mike, one more time. How much exactly?
9,660.
9,660 or something like that.
Yeah.
And was there some problem about us having to have a permissive referendum to spend that money out of something?
Depends where we spend it from.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
It depends where we spend it from. If we spend it from that $10,000, we'll call it. If we spend that from the capital improvement reserve, then yes, we have to do the permissive referendum for that. Like if we bundle it in with the whole project.
So Tracy, is this a big enough emergency that this should be an emergency and we could do this immediately?
Like I say, right now there's a temporary line running, creating quite a large speed bump, as they mentioned earlier in the meeting and stuff, in the East Temple area, intersection of East Temple and Green. So the sooner we can move forward with this, the better. The main project is going to have to be covered out of the capital reserve, though.
Do you have somewhere to cover this 9,660?
Yes, I could cover that engineering and stuff.
Yeah. So we could approve this tonight and have them start work, basically.
The design.
The design of it.
Ron, make that motion.
I would make a motion that we have Hunt Engineering do the Green Street design for $9,660 to
I
come out
second
of
that.
the capital improvement.
That'll be paid for out of Tracy's engineering line item.
Okay.
Not the capital improvement.
Well, then that's what I meant to say.
That's what Rod's got. Don't worry.
I second that.
Okay.
Second the motion or whatever.
Charles did. All right. Do we have any discussion on that? Definitely needs to happen. I know last time you dug it up, you found 3 different kind of pipes under there and quite a mess.
Mike,
Yeah,
I just
it-
have 2
it-
questions for Tracy. Tracy, what size is that force main?
That's 4-inch.
And do you know the depth on it?
We're going to be replacing the whole thing, so I don't, the depth on it where it's at now. When we did the repair back late last fall time frame, we were about 6 foot in the ground where we did that repair.
Okay, so up on East Temple Street, you think you'll be in 6 feet in the ground or so?
From what I talked to Hunt, they were, going to be shooting for right around the 5 foot mark, depending on where the water is and stuff up there, and happen to, work around that, of course.
Yeah, that's what I just wanted to let you know is East Temple Street is a 8-inch plastic water main, and it's sitting right about between 5 and 6 foot. So just wanted to give you a
Okay.
heads up.
I know the discussions with Hunt that, as soon as if this got passed tonight, then they're going to be doing a UFPO in for design and stuff so they can gather all that information and get moving forward. So.
Okay, and Tim has my number, so he can always contact me for any information, drawings, or anything we have.
Okay, great.
It's all brand new on East Temple, gas and water.
My only question is to either one of you guys, does this have any bearing on the low pressure that's happening in the houses?
Nothing that just related has anything to do with that.
Yeah, since it happened, I'm experiencing low water pressure. I was wondering if it had anything to do with that.
I thought that was just me.
Well, you too?
No, that's nothing at all to do with this force main issue.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't want low pressure on your sewer, so but let me I can I'll have my guys check into it and see what's going on, if there's anything going on East Temple Street with the water main or something. Maybe one of the breaks we had recently put some dirt or something down in there, so I'll have them look into it.
Oh, okay. And if when you guys finish the project and you happen to leave that hump in the middle of the street there, I wouldn't disapprove of it being there. I kind of welcome it. It slows the cars down right in front of my house where they don't speed by.
I
We should have a lot more of those around certain streets in the village.
Living at the opposite end of the hump, where you have to go over the hump, it has severely decreased the traffic.
So Charles, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Charles?
Yes.
So is that what you're saying, is that the pressure is down on the backup of your sewer coming up into your basement, so it's not pushing it up quite as much as it usually does? Is that what you're... Okay. But anyways, I do have one last question about it, which is, are we doing, not making a problem for us by using this particular $9,000 out of a particular place instead of out of the capital reserve? Is that we're not creating a monetary problem for us for that, are we?
That's a Tracy question, but I would say no. We
got money there to cover it, Rusty.
It's okay.
We budget for some engineering money every year, and everybody's budget. So.
Okay.
For kind of stuff like this. Yep. Anybody else any discussion on the motion to let Hunt design this baby up? All right. We'll vote. Charles?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
And yes. And then we might as well move right down the thing here a little ways, but set public hearing for Green Street Force Line emergency repair. And this is for the overall project. We need to have a public hearing in order to use the money out of the capital reserve.
And I guess that's a question I have, Mayor. When you and I talked with Nate the one day, it was discussed that we had to do the public referendum, but according to the office, we just have to do this public hearing. So I guess I just want to be sure we're doing what we need to do to access the money.
So I think the answer depends on, is it a repair reserve or is it a capital reserve? Because if it's considered an emergency repair, then I think that's where we have to do the public hearing if you're using that type of a repair reserve. If it's capital reserve, considered a capital project, then I believe it's a permissive referendum where you publish the notice in the paper and people could file a petition if they want to bring it to a public vote.
That's a repair, it's not a.
Well, but it's a replacement of we're gonna replace the whole thing.
But it's not a new project. Replacing an existing.
Well, it's reconstruction of an existing building. It's not, it's a full reconstruction. It's or not a building, but a line.
I would call it a capital improvement to me.
Right, I know that's what this account had been, started for, and that's all the money that ever has been taken out of that was all been for line repairs within the village. So
that's that couple of dollars everybody pays on their bill each.
Right, there's like a $5 charge on everybody's bill, and that money goes into this account for repair.
So again, I mean, just at the end of the day, what's the name of this reserve again?
Oh, the capital. Oh God, I just had it up. Hold on. It's on the treasurer's report this time. Back page. It's reserve for capital improvement. Something.
Yeah, I mean, calling it a capital improvement doesn't sound like repair to me. It's capital improvement.
Like 202,000 in it.
Reserve for sewer capital improvement.
Reserve for sewer capital improvement.
And then again, if it's considered a repair reserve under state law, then it is just the public hearing. If it's considered a capital reserve, it's a referendum requirement. The way to tell which one it is to go back and look at the resolution that created it. You know, if however, I guess what Cindy or Rod's office is saying is they've always done a public hearing for use of this reserve, then that tells me they've been treating it as a repair reserve, which is fine. We can do it either way. I just want to know what type of a reserve this is. If they've been treating it like a repair reserve with public hearing, I'd say continue doing that at this point.
Okay.
So shall we set a public hearing for next meeting, and just in case we have to have one for this?
Sounds like a motion to me.
I'll
second that.
No, we don't have to have one, we'll just cancel that.
All right. May 3rd, 7 o'clock. So that's the motion. Public hearing.
November 3rd, public hearings.
May 3rd, 7 o'clock. Any discussion on that? Charles?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
And yes. All right, so I think we got that all squared away. So, I don't see anybody else. We'll go to department head reports since I don't see anything.
Okay, before Captain of the EMS gives her report, I would like to make a couple of comments. I've been informed that there's decision made by the fire department to do some repaving around the fire station and do other improvements to the building. And I don't remember anybody coming to the board of trustees to have those expenses. I don't believe it's.
I couldn't hear any of that. Mike, I can't hear any of that. I didn't understand any of that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay, I'm saying that the EMS department has been told that they're having to take money out of their budget to pay for items that the fire department has decided to do on village property. And there has been no approval by the village board for any improvements on those properties. It is village property.
Fire department doesn't get to decide what money comes out of the EMS budget. The board gets to decide that.
Exactly. And how do they decide what paving needs to be done around the building? Any more than the Owego Police Department has the authority to decide on paving around their building.
So this is Chief Morris. I'm working with Superintendent Souls on repaving the blacktop around Central Station. That is to gain more parking spots for volunteer firefighters and EMS to have available parking instead of cluttering up the street.
That has not been approved by the village board, is my contention.
We have reserved money.
Budget till it is.
I have money in my budget to pay for those items.
Nobody could go ahead and do anything about the police department paving, cemetery paving, or any other paving without the village board approving on what has to be done on their property.
I have a line item in my budget for building maintenance.
Send it to the board at this point.
Yeah,
so your issue, if I'm not mistaken, is that the EMS is going to be billed for a portion of this, which in my opinion, they should be, or they reside in one of those rooms, at least a small percentage, whatever that would be.
Any improvement. That's the whole contention.
Hold on one second. So,
Mr. Mayor?
For clarity, everything that is over, I think it's $5,000, has to be approved by the board. In general, any bill, which is why we had to approve the $9,000 for the sewer to be able to spend, even though we have it in the budget. So, just as a general.
Can I speak, Mr. Mayor?
Yep, go ahead, Rusty.
So Fran and others, EMS, et cetera, who are listening in on this, the village board is going to make some decisions down the line here, not this very minute, I wouldn't think, about of the monies that come in from the EMS department that can only be spent for the EMS department, what portions of things and expenses that they incur will come out of their budget. And one of these things will be station expenses, insurance expenses, whatever, blacktopping expenses, computer expenses. We haven't gone to that and done that yet. We'll do it sometime. And of course, nothing will come out of their budget till the village board makes those decisions.
Well, I agree that it is to be done, but at the moment, the EMS have been told by the fire department of what's going to happen. There's been nothing decided by the village.
I haven't told them anything. I was discussing it.
It'll all be discussions between the mayor and the fire chief and the EMS department head and then the village board. That'll all go in its proper order. So don't anybody panic.
And I talked to Jim about paving that and splitting it between us. We're looking at like $7,500 to do around the around the main fire station. And then there was some other, to put a seal coat on what we did last year. It was like $1,500 or $1,700. So if you split the $7,500 between the two of us, it's below $5,000 a piece.
Between,
if you want to look at it that way, or I'll pay the whole thing.
well, you're gonna split it between fire department and DPW.
Right.
Right, we should probably just get a motion to do that. And it's legal.
Works for me.
I'll make that motion.
All right. I think that's a good price.
So Jeff, you've gotten the appropriate number of quotes for the work then?
Of course. It's such a small job that like broom bituminous or Suco won't even deal with it because it's such a small thing. So we got prices from local contractors.
So you're saying this is coming out of the DPW budget?
Between DPW and fire department.
Right. Unless you can make somebody else pay, that's fine with me too.
Yeah.
But once again, the piece that we're talking about right this second is Franz and the EMS is concerned about what percentage of something they may or may not be on the line for, and we can't do that right this second. We're not going to do that right now.
No, we're just giving them we're approving the paving of that.
Paving, that would be coming out of the DPW budget and the fire department budget is what has been said.
Building maintenance budget.
Yep, and that should be split between fire and EMS. EMS has a building maintenance budget as well. There's a reason why they have a building maintenance budget.
3 ways would be less on all of you.
It's not a matter of not doing that. It's a matter of discussions being amongst everybody. And it's not amongst everybody. It's the discussions are made and then it's, basically, okay, and this is what you're gonna do. So it should be a joint effort and discussions is all I'm saying.
I would agree, but here's the discussion, so.
All right, this is the first I'm hearing about this, so I guess everybody's as surprised as I am.
Yeah.
Yep.
The same as changing the locks on the building and the keys. There was no discussion. It was just done and people were told this is what you're gonna get charged.
Yeah, I changed all the locks on the buildings for safety concerns.
For my earlier suggestion, Chief, Fire Chief, have
they been
EMS, Jeff, and talk about this stuff. Bring something to the board. This is not our spot to talk this all through right this second, especially on these virtual calls. That's my opinion.
Well, does the paving thing, is there a timeline on that? Do we need to sign up to do that soonish? Before May 3rd?
No. Not that I'm aware of.
I don't know what the contractors are expecting if they.
I would bring it up next week.
We can put it on the agenda for next meeting, that way we can all mull it over between now and then.
Yeah,
Figure out if we're splitting it 2 ways or 3 ways or 10 ways or what.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Yep. Let's go department head reports. We'll start with Jeff.
Do we still have a motion on the floor?
Start with you. No, we withdrew. We'll do it next time, Charles.
Okay.
I've got a couple of additional things to my report. First of all,
you just muted yourself, Jeff.
We can't hear you, man.
Sorry about that.
You're back.
I've got 3 additional things.
Okay.
The first of which is the kiosk at the bridge.
Yep.
We didn't have it insured. So we've sent a letter to the vehicle owner's insurance company with a copy of the estimate to fix it, which is just under $11,000. But do we want to wait to fix it till we get whatever we get from the insurance company, or do we want to jump on that? It looks pretty bad, but
Yeah, it does look pretty bad. I'm surprised it's still holding.
yeah. And I don't know if you guys want to wait till we get the funds from the insurance company, or if you want to do it and hope we get some funds from the insurance company.
I never understood why they were there.
I mean, regardless, it's got to be fixed. Am I correct?
Yes.
I mean, whether they pay us or not, we have to do something with it. Either fix it or take it down.
Right.
Or it falls down. Since we have a matching one on the other side, I'd be inclined to fix it and go after the insurance company.
If you tore it down, you have to tear down the other one too.
Yeah.
What
Yeah, we
purpose
can do
is
that.
Now they're doing that.
Yeah.
I think you get a lot of community people against that option.
So we don't have to make a decision tonight, but you know, I drive by that thing all day long thinking we need to do something.
Yeah, I'm scared it's going to fall. I mean, it's been up for now, but I'm scared it's going to give way one day.
Right.
Where, if we're not waiting for the insurance company, where are we taking the funds from?
That's a good question. Hopefully there's some sort of fund balance that we could tap into.
That's a Rodney question. Rodney, you got any extra money anywhere?
If we had to, I could take it out of street repair.
Rod can't hear you.
Rod says, sounds like you're muted again, no?
Like I said,
the way it's sitting, that's more of our streetscape DRI funds potentially.
I don't think we can use it to repair what's already there.
No.
Probably not.
Jeff, I think I would recommend go ahead and fixing it. And then, insurance pays us back good. If not, we'll cover it.
Where are we gonna take the money out of? We got
We
contingency
got a
somewhere?
contingency of 40,000.
Okay.
We could have but we should get it.
Does somebody want to make a motion like that? But yeah, no, in reality, their car insurance should cover it.
The PJ,
All right,
Are
I'll
we
make the
required to get more than one quote on that, or are we found the right venue here, Nate?
Yeah, you sent out this quote.
So typically we should be getting at least 3 quotes if it's something that requires quotes.
Does it require quotes though? It's $11,000.
I don't know off the top of my head what your policy specifically requires, but anything over 10, actually Jeff probably knows exactly what it requires. So I'll trust what Jeff says.
Well,
And I direct that question to you, Jeff.
the company that I got the estimate from is the company that originally built it. That's why I went with them. I did not get any other quotes.
Do we need other quotes?
I'm more concerned about the insurance company saying we didn't have any other quotes to substantiate by. I mean, I don't want to get bit in the rear later on this.
I'm assuming that the insurance company is the same as if you smashed your car. Whatever your estimate is what you submit to them.
Is this thing still in any warranty period?
No. No, it's not.
Just put it with the bridge. How many years ago? So I guess my only concern, we followed our procurement policy, right, Jeff? Because that's what the insurance company can ask us.
So I'm just looking at your policy online, and
we would need 2 more quotes.
I think you need more quotes.
All right, so
I wouldn't
it's,
put it on
it's still
the agenda.
standing. Let's get some more quotes on it.
Put it on the agenda.
All right.
And hopefully it don't fall down before our next meeting.
Okay. All right.
Anything else, Jeff?
Yep.
Okay.
The street lights for the approach road
yeah.
to the Owego Gardens 2. Do you guys want the decorative lights that I sent to you or Cobra heads?
They both are. I sent my comments back to those. But I like the decorative ones, but I like that we have the Cobra lights everywhere and know how to maintain them.
Which, as it stands right now, we're going to have to maintain them ourselves at this point.
Right, they're gonna put them in, then we take them over, right?
Or correct.
So either option's just maintenance to us, basically.
Correct.
Is one easier to maintain than the other?
Well, we got a million of the Cobra ones.
So that means we have parts and whatnot and knowledge for that.
Yes,
It makes sense, Jeff, on your side, you just go with the Cobra head?
I would, yeah. But I mean, it's up to you guys. If you want the fancy ones, we'll make them put those in. Or if you want the Cobra heads, we'll go with those.
I would assume go with the continuity of what we already have. They're already familiar with them.
Well, why don't you make a resolution there, Ron?
We want the best lights that they can put in that cost us the least money to maintain.
I think that'd be the Cobra ones, since we already have all the parts and pieces. So does somebody want to make a motion?
So then I would make a motion that we use the Cobra head lights going up to the Owego Gardens 2. I don't know what else I would have to put in that.
All right. Anybody have any more discussion on the lights? So they'll be the same street lights we have all over downtown.
And that was Jeff's recommendation?
Yeah, I mean, Jeff didn't care, besides we already maintain those. And that's probably what, we haven't decided yet, but probably what we're gonna end up putting on the south side too, when we do that DRI project over there, so
All right.
everything will match.
Yeah, having all the same parts on hand makes more sense.
Right, yeah. Interchangeability for sure. All right, so we'll vote on that. Charles?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Rusty?
I can't hear very well and I'm abstaining because I can't hear what we're talking about.
Yeah, and yes.
So Jeff,
But
was your
yeah,
you have to make a motion, was that the entire driveway up to the Owego Gardens 2 doesn't become a village street, it becomes their driveway that they take care of? Is that what you were recommending?
No.
no.
This was just what style streetlights do we wanted to make them put on?
Moving along.
Anything else,
The last thing that I have, the county and the town of Owego have asked us to go in on a shared services grant for a new sweeper, which would be split between the three of us. New sweepers are about $260,000. The three of us would have to, the three municipalities would have to come up with 45%, and the state would come up with the other 55%, which would mean we would have to come up with probably anywhere from $39,000 to maybe $50,000 to purchase the new sweeper. I need to know if you guys want to go in on that. It's not a guarantee that we'll get it, but we could try. Our sweeper's 11 years old. They last about 10 years, but we keep limping it along.
And then we would share this thing with the county and the town.
Correct.
Well, I assume maintenance cost, everything would also be shared the 3 ways.
Yes.
Is that the same sweeper George used to drive around, or is that a different one?
No, it's the same one George drove around.
That's an old sweeper. That's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, the only question I have is, you've got the village of Owego, the town of Owego, then the county covers a huge array. Why are we splitting this 3 even ways?
Well, I can bring it. We're supposed to have a meeting Wednesday, the county, the town, and I can bring that up. I can tell you that we use the sweeper more than any municipality.
Well, that's fine. If you feel like you're getting a fair deal in this, I'm perfectly fine with that. But I'm just looking at sheer area, and it seemed like there's a much bigger area outside of the village.
The town has more street miles, and the county definitely has more street miles than we do. But per hours, we probably use the sweeper more than either one of them put together.
Okay, as long as you're fine with this, Jeff, I am.
Is that going to be?
Like I said, it's not a guarantee. They might tell us, forget it. But
is that going to be an issue where right now we have our own dedicated sweeper that we use however many hours a week we want?
Which I'm probably going to keep. Say that again, Mike.
Well, I just worry that we would really want to use it however many hours a week or day or whatever, and it's out somewhere else in the county or whatever.
Well, there is that possibility.
So Jeff, we have to negotiate. Where's going to be kept? I would guess it'd be over in the new town garage, but who knows? And we'd have to negotiate who gets it, how much, blah blah blah. Is that stuff that we need to talk about then? You said you have a meeting coming up. Does that need stuff we need to talk about with them?
Well, actually, the meeting Wednesday is to see if all 3 of us are interested in it and
I
even
guess
doing it.
The question is, are we interested in moving forward?
Oh, we should discuss it.
All they're going to do is apply for the grant.
I don't think it would hurt to apply for the grant. You can work out the technicalities if we get it.
Right.
And if anybody wants to go to the meeting Wednesday, you're welcome to come to that.
I mean, I think it's a good deal if we can get it. We can work out the details.
I'm with you, Mike. It's certainly something that sniffs that it could be good for us. We need the devil's in the details.
Right.
So I tell them on Wednesday we're interested.
Okay. That's all I needed.
Okay, well, I have a couple of questions for Jeff for the cemetery committee.
Okay.
We've been having trouble connecting with the pre-service company we had been got a bid from last fall, and so John Rickliff, who's the chairperson of the cemetery committee, has been checking into several other pre-service companies, and we were wondering if he can get an appointment to somebody to go up in the cemetery. Would you be willing to go with him, Jeff? Check it out?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, he'll
Okay.
let you know as soon as possible.
All right.
And the other question is, okay, we had $700 set aside for doing replacement of the Luxan on the windows there at the mortuary chapel. And we took one down to have Majestic Glass check it out over the winter, and they decided they're not a standard size, so they don't want to get them all cut at this moment. So Majestic Glass told us, now if we wait another year or two, the price is going to go up on the Lexan. So we're wondering if the cemetery committee could go ahead and purchase a Lexan, store it there at the mortuary chapel, and send the bill on to the village clerk here.
Did we already approve to buy that stuff?
Yeah, we did. We approved to buy it. It's just we approved the whole work to be done. At this point, they're not going to do they're not going to cut the Lexan. They just want to buy it and keep it there at the mortuary chapel to cut it in the future.
It's fine with me.
Oh no, it'll be less. It'll be less than 750 because that included the labor. I don't know the exact amount at the moment.
Fran, did you say you wanted it to come out of the clerk's budget?
Well, it would come out of the. I think it would come out of the Department of Public Works. Is it?
Why isn't it coming out of the cemetery?
Because anything that is a cemetery is under the Department of Public Works.
Yeah,
Right at the moment, there are no particular budgeted items for the cemetery, work in the cemetery.
Yeah, the whole cemetery is under DPW. They have a line item for it. Yeah. Which I think is where we said to take it out of a long time ago.
Well, what I'm asking is, can we go ahead and purchase the Lexan and, have Majestic Glass send a bill, well, it would be to the DPW.
Is that the local store Amazing Glass?
Yeah, excuse me, Amazing Glass. Excuse me, I'm sorry. They're on East Avenue.
Okay.
I don't see why you can't purchase the Lexan. We gave approval for the whole thing. So.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, I just thought while Jeff was still here, we'd check that out. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
I'll get with Shelley.
Okay, good enough. Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Anybody else, anything for Jeff?
Mr. Mayor, Mike?
What's up, Rusty?
I can't hear you guys. I'm gonna get off. I appreciate it. Sorry, but
okay.
So I'll talk to you after the meeting.
Okay. Have a good night.
This week. Thank you. All right. Good night.
All right, Rusty's left us. Anybody else, anything for Jeff? Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Actually, I do have something, Jeff. I'm sorry.
Up too late. You're too late. I'm sorry.
I'm just wondering, I see a bunch of mattresses popping up in my neighborhood. Can we just bill these people, or how do we get rid of these things? They're just kind of on the curb. There's like 3 or 4 around my block. I mean, I don't know how to tell who should be claiming ownership of these, but they're like just randomly on the curb.
The only thing that we could do is we could pick them up and bill the property owner.
Well, that's my concern, is how do we know who to bill? I mean, if I want to be a jerk, I'm going to put it on my neighbor's curb.
Well, right. I mean, the only thing that I can do, the only way for us to get paid
Right.
is, if the mattress is in front of 10 Front Street, we send a bill to 10 Front Street.
Right, and if I heard it correctly, that's what, $10 plus a tipping fee? Is
Correct.
that accurate? Okay.
Yep.
I mean, it's not a big fee. I don't know why people just don't follow this unless they're unaware of the process.
All right.
That's probably the case.
So, I mean, we
Is that
bill.
something we can put in the paper or something to kind of reiterate that if people are going to dump their mattress?
How much is the tipping fee?
It depends on how much the mattress weighs. I mean, if it's been sitting out there and it gets rained on, I mean, it could be a lot of money.
So certainly I think people aren't allowed under the property code to just, dump mattresses outside. the code officer could send them a notice of violation to have them remove the mattress themselves. And then in that notice of violation, include the information that the village will dispose of it if they pay the fee, like what you're just talking about.
I think they're just hoping the garbage company or somehow it'll just miraculously disappear. And
No,
I
that's
just
why
know-
I asked you last week, the other week, Jeff, because I got like 4 of them. I got like 2 queen sizes and 2 twins in my garage. And that's where they've been until I figure out the cost they
whatever
get.
the quickest way is, I mean, if that's the best way to go, Nate, that's fine, but it's starting to look pretty, for lack of a better word, ghetto.
Yeah,
And it's just not very appealing to the eye.
I agree.
Yeah, Ron, there's a couple mattresses on the curb up in Halsted too.
We'll
I
take
mean,
care of them.
I figured it couldn't be just my neighborhood. At least I was hoping it wasn't.
Is there any way we can hold like an amnesty mattress thing like they do with the tires? I'm dead serious.
If you guys want us to pick up the tab for it, I guess we could do that.
I don't know, a lot of rain. I mean, those tipping fees could get substantial if you get enough mattresses.
Yep.
I mean, I would rather hold people accountable for their own garbage if we can. I mean, I don't think that code enforcement's a bad idea, just telling them we will take them for a fee. I mean,
Last year we had Weitzman's help us with the cleanup day. We got rid of a lot of stuff that way.
I mean, I know Scott has a lot on his plate. I don't know if that's the easiest thing to do.
Scott no longer works for the village of Owego.
You know, I had heard about that.
Yep.
He'll work per diem on projects until we get somebody else. I mean, we've got Terry, but he's
very
doing
green, isn't he?
Pardon me?
He's kind of, I mean, he has a lot of knowledge, but he's green in the code enforcement field.
Correct. As a
Do you have
matter of fact,
anybody-
all this week he's at school, virtual school, but
Right.
so we right now have some big projects sitting on our tables that him and I have been going after. There's the public well, Owego Gardens 2, our own facility, Sheer Paradise, and there's another one that I can't remember what the heck it is.
All the DRI projects.
Nah,
They were
they
still
haven't
dealing
even
with the
really started yet.
Iowa Trails building, aren't we?
Say that again. Oh yeah, we're still trying to figure that one out. Endless
All right.
Mountain Veterinarian, that's the other big one. All those
Do we have any
projects.
candidates in the pipeline?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, all
What
those
about-
ones you for DRI projects.
What about hiring Ron Schmidt temporarily until you find a new code enforcement officer?
I'll talk to Ron again, but last time I talked to him, he was willing to do floodplain management, but he didn't want anything to do with code enforcement.
So do we post this job again somewhere, or how do we go about pursuing another person? Because I mean, we're going to need one pretty quickly.
Oh, right now they're civil service is giving us a hard time about Terry. They made him, first of all, they're saying that he's got to take a test, which I don't think is correct. Somebody needs to go over there and find out what's going on. Supposedly, if you have less than 5,000 residents, you don't have to take civil service tests for code enforcement. But they're saying that he's not qualified. They made him fill out a slip explaining why he thinks he's qualified. So for all I know, next week we could have absolutely nobody but me. And I don't have any of my credentials anymore. And quite frankly, I've got 3 years left. I'm not getting them. Unless you guys tell me you're gonna fire me. If I don't, I guess.
No, you can't leave, Jack.
So we're in a really bad spot. Scott said he'll help us, per diem, but he's first of all, he's working second shift, so he's not going to be there all day long screwing around for us. But it's pretty tough, and nobody wants to do the job anymore. So I don't know, but somebody other than me, I have not talked to civil service, and you guys probably don't want me to, quite honestly, but one of you guys might want to see what's going on.
Probably
I
a
am not
man.
versed in civil service in any capacity. I wouldn't know the first place to start.
I would guess that's a me and Nate thing. We got to get with them and figure out what's going on.
I mean, unless they change the resident number, I don't think any of them need to take a test. Itchy didn't have to take a civil service test because we were under the number of residents. But something may have changed. I don't know.
Yeah, neither did Scott. He didn't throw a fit over him either.
Well,
Hey,
eventually,
Jeff, just a suggestion. Could that have changed because of the 2020 census?
I don't know if they've even calculated that yet, have they? Maybe.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
No, those figures aren't complete yet.
That's just another problem we've got. So.
But we do need to advertise for that position. If you know anybody knows anybody looking.
Right. Quite frankly, we've been advertising for months for seasonal help, and I've gotten one response, which means there'll be one guy up in the cemetery that only works 3 days a week at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I usually put 3 or 4 people up there, which I can still do, but that means stuff around town won't get done. I mean, I don't know what the deal is, but I don't know if it's the extra 300 for unemployment or what the deal is, but
probably something.
Nobody's responding.
Maybe we can, I don't know how you're advertising. Maybe we can advertise better somewhere. I don't know.
On the village page. Are we in any jeopardy of DRI issues if we don't get a code enforcement officer soon?
Possibly.
All those projects are coming. They all need approvals.
Right.
And there's no, I'm kind of ignorant on these. There's no code enforcement firms that can send somebody in a temporary basis or?
No. I mean, I could talk to the state. They don't actually have anybody they can send down, but.
I don't know if you're gonna look into this, Jeff, but I think Whitney Point uses a firm.
Oh, it's not Whitney Point. So there is a company that has employees who will be appointed. Like you can't, as a village, appoint a company. You have to have an actual person named as your code enforcement officer. But there is a company out there that makes its employees available as code officers. It's not Whitney Point though that uses them. I think it might be Town of Lisle or something. Whitney Point uses a code officer who also works for the Town of Union. His name's Ken Jennison, although he's retiring now. So.
Yeah, I just know somebody who lives out that way, and he said he had to go through a company to get a building permit. That was weird.
And I'll talk to Ron Schmidt and see if I can con him into it.
I wouldn't use those exact words.
Before Jeff goes through the flood.
Ron sees me coming, he'll know I'm trying to con him into something.
Yeah, right. Let's do before Jeff goes, since we're getting late tonight. Let's do the amend flood damage prevention law off the agenda.
So that would actually be scheduling the public hearing for that.
Right. So Nate, did you remove that paragraph?
Yeah, I sent draft of the local law to Jeff, I think, and you, Mayor. I don't believe Jeff had any, nobody responded anyway, so I assume they're great drafts. Then I don't remember if and I'll look as we're talking, but I don't remember if I copied Cindy or Rod or Kim on it. So I'll make sure to forward the draft to them so they can send out to the full board. But yeah, very straightforward change to the flood damage law. Flood damage prevention.
We'll get it up on the website too for public. We need to schedule a public hearing for our next meeting. It'll be a busy next meeting too.
And Jeff, do you are you folks putting together the part 1 seeker forms for this stuff, or is my office doing that?
We can do it.
And then I think you're also sending in the special permit change. You guys send the 239 in, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
All right, so I'll make a motion to schedule a public hearing for the flood damage prevention law, chapter 117 modification. Next meeting, May 3rd, 7:10.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Charles?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Rusty? Oh, he's gone. Never mind. Rusty doesn't vote. And yes from me. All right, so that is crossed off. Anybody else anything for Jeff?
Hey, Nate. I'm just thinking here about my schedule. If you could do the part 1 of the seeker, that would help me out actually.
Okay.
I got a couple of days that I've got doctor's appointments, and then I've got surgery next Tuesday. So if you if you guys could handle that.
And then you'll still do the 239 or no?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks.
Okay. Good, you guys got that sorted out. Anybody else anything for Jeff, or you good? All right, I think you're good, Jeff.
All right, thank you guys.
So we'll move to Robin, I see next.
Yep, short and sweet. We've had about 60 calls so far since the 5th of the month. The loaner came back, has a new radiator. They also noticed that some of the lights were needing replacement, so they took care of that too, and that's all on their expense. They brought it back. I would like to thank Jeff Winchell especially. He's jumped on board for a couple of sketchy calls, and really appreciate him doing that to give the providers the comfort of knowing he's riding along. And also, we still are not getting MedEx reports. We were asking for them. I don't know what the deal is, why I can't just get them when you get them, why we have to keep going through this every single month, and we go 2-3 months before we ever get one.
I probably missed the email where I get them for you.
Can it just be done every time you get it? You just ship it my way, and then we don't have to keep doing this?
I only get it when I go look for it. Is the problem?
And the clerk's office just forwarded it on to the captain?
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, because we haven't had anything in a
Those
few
are the
months.
look too, but-
We have to go through it.
Well,
Well, one of the
Cindy has to go
things-
pull it.
One of the things that the squad needs to do is to go through and make sure that the claims that are put in are actually paid. I mean, nobody else knows what the claims are that have been put into the MedX.
Correct.
Yeah, so we'll figure out. We always
Just
say it,
needs to
but
happen monthly.
Yeah, I know, you always do.
it's one of those things we have to go get. So if nobody reminds us to go get it, then we'll probably forget about it.
Why are they not just sending those reports to us?
They put them out on like it's a weird system they have. They put them out on like an email thing that we have access to.
You know, there's this thing called the post office they could use.
Yeah, I know.
It takes a while, but it does get there.
It is something we can do, so that we don't have to remember to go pull them, hopefully.
Yeah, it just leaves us still not knowing where we're at all the time.
Right.
And that's, so we can, and as you know, we got to be able to do our pricing, our juggling, and we can't do any of that to know in comparison if we don't have any information.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Not trying to be a hard butt, just trying to be able to do my job as well.
I'll talk to MedX because maybe they can just send them, and then when we see them, we can forward them on. Because I think the issue is now they're out there. We just got to go look for them.
Yes. All right. Okay. And I don't know if Jim Morris is still on or not. I don't know if the locks have actually been changed yet or not.
No, they have not.
Okay. All right. Because I told everybody to hold on to their old keys because I didn't want anybody to throw away their old key and then they couldn't get in. So, okie doke. Thank you.
All right. Anybody have anything for Robin or EMS? Move on to fire chief.
So the ladder truck's back in service after spending a few months up in Syracuse. All the items have been fixed and repaired that were necessary per inspection of the aerial itself. So that's back in service. Had on my notes to go over the locks at being changed. So I had a locksmith come. We had a bunch of keys that were broke off in Central Station's door, along with Station 2's door. Looks like somebody tampered with both locks. Locksmith highly suggested that we change locks, put a higher security key in. So therefore, I gave him the go-ahead to go ahead and make keys prior to switching the locks. We're working on getting the keys out to the membership before the cylinders are changed. So there's no way of a member showing up and not be able to gain access to the building. So that's been handled. Hopefully by Friday of next week, all the keys will be handed out to all members. It's just fire department wise. I handed out the keys to EMS. They were the first ones to get to the keys. So hopefully by next Fridays, the cylinders will be changed. Parking lot was on my list to go over. Obviously you heard Jeff and stuff like that, but I guess that's tabled until next week or 2 weeks. So I guess we'll talk then on that.
Yeah, we just got to make sure, stay on top of Jeff so we get a couple more quotes. So we can do some with it next time.
We've reached out to multiple people and it's just too small of an area for bigger companies wanting to bid. However, if we blacktop between Central Station and the Tioga County building, it'll give us 6 additional parking spots. That's the whole push behind the whole thing.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. Do it the right way.
I have a new member. I'll bring the paperwork to Rod tomorrow. David W. Harrison, Sr. Lives at 5 Browns Lane. He joined company number 4s, and he's going to be doing fire police as previous experience.
I move that we would appoint David W., I'm sorry, what was the last name? Harrison?
Yep.
Senior to be the fire police.
I'll second.
Any discussion on him? Thank you for his volunteer. Charles?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
And yes.
Thank you. Most of you know the bell's been removed out of the clock tower. That went pretty smooth. No really issues. I was up there when they were pulling the bell out, and the beam that held the bell did split. So it was only a matter of time before that bell come crashing down. So it was a good move. What else do I got? The steamer. Sure Patrick's not on by the looks of it, but that is supposed to be making its way back here within the next month or two. So once that comes back, we'll have to make some room inside Central Station to get the steamer inside and safe and out of the weather until the steamer house is complete. And the only other thing I got is the fire department membership was talking about possibly purchasing a new marquee sign. The one that we currently have in Station 2's parking lot is a stick letter type deal. The wind takes the letters off, the kids take the letters off. So we're looking at possibly doing a marquee sign. I asked Jeff if there was any permits needed. He was going to look into that. But I figured I'd ask you guys if there was anything I need from the board as far as approval to try to move forward with doing an electronic marquee sign.
I think it's a good idea.
I like that idea too. What are the costs of those things?
It depends, anywhere from $25,000 to $35,000, but the membership's been raising money. It won't be a taxpayer funded project. It'll be coming out of fundraising that we've done in the past.
So the only thing I would caution about an electronic sign, any sign really, talk with, I was going to say your code officer, but talk with Jeff about whether the sign being proposed complies with the village's zoning requirements. You know, it's best to try and comply with our code if we can, because it looks good when somebody throws back in your face that you didn't apply it to you. And so I don't know off of my head, if the village allows electronic or digital signs like that. So that's something to think about. And then if you're in the historic district, you'll need OHPC approval.
Yep. Yeah, I spoke to Jeff already on it, and he was going to look into it further.
There's always someone going to complain that it's too bright.
The Boys Club has
signs weren't allowed the last time I looked at the historic district thing. You know, like the backlit ones, as long as the light didn't shine on other people's properties and stuff like that, but the electronic signs weren't included. There aren't any others that are electronic in the district that I can think of. But there are examples of backlit signs. So I don't know.
Yeah, we were just trying to, you know, help out on fundraising on our end. We can use it when the underpass floods, stuff like that, to alert traffic. And, you know, you guys hold your elections there. We can post on the board that, you know, the village elections are there, stuff like that. You know, it's just, we figured it would help benefit our community and get some more messaging out to people.
It would probably have to be stationed higher, a higher elevation than the one we have now, so that people just don't jump up and smack it on the way by, you know?
Yeah. And not only that, we can use it as a recruitment tool.
Is it something that you would be willing to use for, like, the, you know, the DRI wanted to have, you know, signage be included and stuff like that? If that was more public information than just the fire station stuff, you know, maybe that could be included that way. do you think?
Yeah, I mean,
And then they could work out the design of, you know, making it look historic or fitting in, and you know, and help with some of the money.
I do have a picture of it. I don't have it with me now, but basically it'd go on the same brick pillars that are now there. You're going to take the whiteboard off and put the electronic marquee inside the brick pillars.
So I guess the big word of caution or note I would have, you know, because it's a village building, the village is free to, you know, I think it can't exempt itself from its zoning regulations. But if the village puts its own electronic sign out there, you're going to get every store owner asking to put their own electronic signs out there. So it's a slippery slope. I mean, Chief, I hear you. There's really good reasons to do it. I just want the board to understand it's going to get thrown in your face, and just be prepared for that. You know, I mean, there's valid reasons to make distinctions here, but I want you to go in eyes wide open.
Well, once again, it's on the village property. It's not private property, so
Yeah, no,
how can you
we could do
compare that?
People will try.
And I'm hard pressed to believe that a lot of these businesses would want an electric sign. I mean, considering the nature of the village, but I understand where you're coming from, Nate. There's a Pandora's box that you're going to be playing with.
Yeah, so bad.
Before you know it, it'll look like Times Square.
All right.
Vegas.
Vegas, there we go.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I got. So
On George Street.
Guess I'll wait to hear back from Jeff, and then we can go further on that.
All right.
Hey, Mike, just to make a point in Jimmy's favor is, you know, the school does have an electronic sign.
They
So,
do. So does the Boys and Girls Club.
yep, they do too. So,
That's private property, right?
None of those are in the historic district, though.
That's also true. Yeah, neither of those are downtown, so.
but Laura, I don't think that Station 2 is in the historic district. I think it stops at Central Station.
I think that is also
Correct
true.
or no? I
Yeah,
think so
Temple.
too. So,
You might be about 10 feet out of it, I think.
That's a boundary issue that we're going to have to look into.
All right. Anything else for the chief? All right, we'll go to Tracy. He's still on here. Suffering.
Everybody hear me? All right.
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay, I guess the only really thing I had was it's been discussed a couple different times now tonight, is the procurement process. I've been looking to purchase a snow pusher for my loader for snow removal around the plant. With the phase 2 upgrade, things are quite tight, and it would be a very big help to do the snow removal at the facility. The problem I'm having is I've only come up with 2 companies that can give me a quote for a snow pusher that'll fit on my loader. Every other company that I've contacted, they don't have the quick attach, you know, at their disposal to put on the snow pusher. So in a case when I can only come up with 2 quotes, what happens there?
So Tracy, the procurement policy contemplates what you need to do. You just need to document the efforts that you've made to find other quotes. You know, so you've mentioned you found 2, you contacted other companies and they said they can't do it. Document who you talked to and that they said they couldn't do it. And then you have a file together that justifies why there's only 2 quotes in this instance.
Okay, so, and then I guess I would like to, I mean, I can write up that and put that in a folder, the other companies that I've contacted and stuff. And then I guess I would like to request the, you know, approval to purchase the snow pusher from Frisbee Welding in Spencer, New York. For it's $6,179 delivered to the Village of Owego.
Tracy, what size is your loader?
JBC 409. I'm looking for an 8-foot pusher for it.
An 8-foot, that's all you need?
Yeah. There again, we're quite tight in some of the plant there, so I'm just looking for an 8-footer, yes.
Before you buy, you want to come see me? I might be able to save you some money.
Okay, yep.
I might have some slightly used ones that we're getting rid of at work.
Okay. I'll
That's
contact you in the next couple of days then, Jim.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
I
Jim.
guess that's all we have. I'll be talking to Jim on that before I go ahead with this purchase then.
All right.
So,
Anybody have anything for Tracy?
I guess there goes my motion. Thank you, Chief Morris, for stepping in. Hopefully it fits.
Yeah.
We've got plenty of them, so.
that's all I have. If anybody else have anything for me?
I don't think so. All right,
Okay.
so, and Rusty normally does the police. We got a couple of things on the budget for the police. We can do them. Bump the budget by $3,850. Insurance recovery, that is probably the car. The dog car, yeah.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. So do we have any discussion on that? That's the money we got back from that old Crown Vic that we hit the deer with. So we're just gonna add that into the budget so that we can spend it. We actually already spent it, but
We did cut them a check and they probably want to pick the new car.
I heard they picked it up, yeah.
And they did.
That's what I heard last week, maybe.
We need to vote on it.
Yeah, let's vote on that. Charles?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
And yes. And the next thing is bump the budget by $44,571.28. And this is money that we have received in to reimburse us for the cops grant. One of the officers, part of their salary for part of the year. We submit draws every so often. We get the money in, then we'll put in the budget, and then they actually already spent it. Just to receive in the money.
Is that a motion or?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
And I'll make the second.
Any discussion on that? We'll be doing this from time to time next couple of years. Charles?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
And yes. I don't have anything else from the police department. Next thing is minutes of 4/5/2021.
The annual meeting, the minutes looked all great. I would
Okay.
motion to approve those as submitted.
I'm second that.
All right, we'll vote on that. Any comments on that? Vote on that quick. Charles?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Yes. Now we have regular meeting minutes too.
Those look great. I would make a motion to approve those as submitted.
Okay.
I second.
And any comments on that? All right, Charles?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
And yes. All right. Next thing is a treasurer's report. Good to me.
Look good to me. I'll make a motion we approve as submitted.
I second that.
I would like to just, as a comment, I know we keep track of our EMS expenditures to revenue. And we are almost 29,000 to the good. That's a good sign. Anybody else have any other comments about the treasurer's report? Overall, things are pretty close to where they should be, I think. That means the ones that were kind of over were the police department, but this 44,571 getting pumped back into there will help that out. Looking pretty good. Charles?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
And yes. Next item is trustee reports. Moving right along. Charles?
I don't have anything.
All right. Ron?
I just attended the webinar for the NICOM with the new marijuana laws last week. That's about all I've done.
Yeah, it's going to turn into a big discussion at some point.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be now.
Sounds like high times.
Yeah. 420 tomorrow. Never mind. What do you got?
Otherwise known as Snoop Dogg Day.
Laura?
Laura?
Oh, hey, let's see. I attended the Design Connects thing about the art park community input meeting, and that, I don't know, that lasted about an hour. That went all right. And I guess that's just about all for village stuff. I read Fran's report about the marijuana NICOM thing. So maybe she'll tell us more. And that's it for me.
All right. Fran, you're up next.
Yeah, no, I agree with Laura that the meeting there on the design of the art park is very encouraging, having all the public input.
Yep.
It really is. Yeah, I attended the Powder County Council of Government, which is chaired by Jim Bortor.
Yep, he called me today.
On Thursday evening, and there were a number of things they went over. I mean, Fred Asgar was on that meeting with us, and there is recovery funds that will be dispersed from the federal government to New York State, and New York State will.
Yep.
They've got New York State's getting about $9 million, and so we have like 90 days though to put in a request for that for part of it, and then another 12 months to put in another request. So that's something we've got to look into.
Yeah, I sent Cindy an email. One of the requirements was we have to have a DUNS number. We're all good with that. So.
Yeah. And so, yeah, another on the marijuana recreational use. Fred was saying, Ascar was saying that it was like $3 to $4 million a year that'll be in state revenue, and there's about 13% tax on that.
Right.
And out of that, the municipalities can get 3%, and the state will get 1%, or the county will get 1%. However, we have essentially we opt in, automatically opt in, unless by the end of this year we want to opt out. If we opt out, we're not eligible for that 2%.
It'll be 3%.
Or 3%. Excuse me. Getting late.
Yeah, it is getting late.
It's getting late. So that's, we're gonna have to consider that. I would like to request, maybe we need to talk about this at the next board meeting. The unusable ambulances that are sitting over there in the DPW lot need to be gotten rid of.
Yep.
We either need to send them to auction or send them for scrap. They're taking up space and they're of no good.
We can make a list of them, and then we can tell them to get rid of them.
Okay,
I'm sure Jeff would appreciate that.
Yeah,
Call it
we're running
surplus.
out of space over there with the new building going up. All that good stuff.
They need space over there right
Yeah.
now.
As far as the cemetery committee is concerned, I would really appreciate it if Nate could give us some research on what can be used as far as interest from the perpetual care fund. As far as you know, is there a certain percent each year that can be used? You know, as Jeff was saying, there's only a certain amount available for projects there in the cemetery, and so the cemetery committee is going to be meeting with Jeff the first meeting in May to talk about things that should be put into the budget, and so that would be helpful if we could find out, you know, what can be used interest-wise. We understand the principle cannot be touched on perpetual care.
Much interest in it.
Okay, can we go back previous years? I mean, well, there's.
But now it's principle.
Right.
You didn't use it.
Turns into principal.
Well, at what point do you have to use the interest?
Nobody really suggested they want to use it.
Well, that's why, I think we need to.
Normally Jeff would say, hey, I want to buy some more. I'm making note of how much you get.
Yeah, there's many projects that need to be done up there in the cemetery, and we talked about the guardrail that needs to be taken care of, and other projects.
Yeah, there's a whole list.
Yeah. So if we could get that information, that would be helpful. And I sent out the modifications we made to the rules and regulations for the cemetery. We did change the one sentence in the opening paragraph there. It says the Village of Owego, in accordance with the Village Parks Code, Chapter 150, which includes all parks within the village, is the sole owner of the cemetery and is responsible for supervision and maintenance. So that would cover all the rules that are included in the parks. And then we added in Section A under visitors, the public is not allowed to use metal detectors and subsequent digging in the cemetery. And if those are acceptable to the.
Rusty had one, he said you got the cemetery close to January.
Yeah.
But he wants it to be okay for people to go.
All right, yeah, road maintenance.
No. You said it's closed. He just wanted
the gates are closed to vehicles.
Okay, so a person can walk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just vehicles.
I can like.
Yeah. So I propose we accept those rules.
You're making that motion?
Yes.
Yeah. Anybody want to second it?
Those were the only objections last week. What else needs to be done?
Jeff Souls reviewed everything.
Yes, he reviewed it before we brought it up last week. He approved it.
Okay. He'd already left the meeting, when we talked about it last time. Okay.
Do we have a second on that?
I will actually second that because we asked Fran to wait till this meeting. I mean, I just think it's redundant at this point to keep asking her to push it out.
Made the changes that were requested.
Yeah, Jeff reviewed them, so.
I understand that, Fran. I am totally in agreement with you. We asked you to do something, you did it. We should make a movement to do something about it.
Well, I propose that we accept those rules. Would somebody second it?
Ron did.
Okay.
Yeah, they did.
Do we have discussion on the rules? Everybody have any comments or anything? I think they're fine rules. Let's vote on those. See how it goes. Charles?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
And yes.
Do we have any more issues we are going to vote on?
I don't think so.
I must excuse myself to get ready for work.
Okay.
Thanks for having a job, buddy.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, you guys stay safe.
Thank you, Charles.
I just wanted to
Okay.
make another comment.
All right.
I
Okay.
was
20 pages.
I was checking the governor's executive orders of March 21st of this year stated that public gatherings indoors are allowed at 30% capacity. So I think we should consider having in-person meetings.
Okay with me if we're gonna get a quorum.
I mean, I'm assuming we're gonna have to do something hybrid for people that still do not feel comfortable. I mean, you can't expect everybody to show up to these things.
I know. The hybrid is
Well, we're
rough.
already doing that. We've got part of the meeting right here.
Well, then you should be perfectly fine with that.
No.
I mean, me personally, I'm ready to go back. I don't really care. I've been vaccinated. I'm good to go. I'm comfortable. But not everybody's in that situation.
Right.
And then the other thing, I know we can use the fireman's training facility, I believe is what was offered.
Correct.
But who is setting that up? Who is taking it down? Who's going to maintain the cleanliness of it? I'm sure there's still standards for COVID in place.
Yeah, so that's the only catch is we have to set it up, which is no big deal, and tear it down, no big deal, but we have to clean it too, so. If we use it. But they have graciously allowed us to use it first and third Monday of every month if we need it.
I mean, I don't know what the other board members feel or what the public feels. I mean, I don't want to make this decision based on one person's opinion.
Right.
Yeah, well, we don't have a quorum anymore, so, but
Right.
I will
Well,
keep
we
bringing it up. I
technically do.
think it's time that we go ahead and have in-person meetings. There's many people in the public won't come on.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
We've had way more public involvement during these meetings than we ever did in a physical meeting.
Well, I don't know about that.
That's true, actually.
We've had shoulder-to-shoulder meetings over there. at Elm
Yes,
Street.
for very rare occasions, though. I mean, like I said, I'm fine with meeting in person, but I think in the end scheme, we're going to have to offer some kind of a virtual for those who are in their house or whatever the case may be, can't physically get out. This is a great way to work with that ADA mandate.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this has forever changed the landscape of meetings.
Changed a lot of stuff. In general. I don't know. Nate, do you know about the executive orders? How long did the open meetings law stuff get extended or?
So it's typically been extended every month for, another month or two.
Right.
As soon as, well, so kind of like the legal landscape, right? You were never actually prohibited from holding in-person meetings if you wanted to continue in-person meetings. You're not required to offer remote in either if you have an in-person meeting. So the big issue with the reason why you specifically didn't do in-person meetings, or one of the good reasons, is that just the number of people that you could fit in your meeting location, properly spaced, you weren't, the room just wasn't big enough. You needed a much bigger room. But if you had a big enough room that could reasonably accommodate the expected number of persons attending, then you could have always continued in-person meetings. I think there's valid reason to not have done that, and I certainly appreciate not having to go to in-person meetings, while there's a pandemic going on. But you could have always continued with in-person meetings. So today, if you decide to go back to in-person meetings, then the board does have to kind of make a decision, because if you have any board member attending remotely, then the public has a right to also attend remotely. But if every board member is attending in person and you have adequate space in the room for the expected members of the public to also attend, then you wouldn't have to remote live stream it at all. So if you reasonably expect only 5 people from the public at any given meeting to ever show up, and those 5 people and all the trustees and everybody else can all fit into whatever room this is, you don't have to live stream. So that makes it a little easier logistically. Now, that being said, there's a policy decision, because, Ron, as you correctly, I think, pointed out, some people might still be concerned about attending and would greatly appreciate a continued live stream option to attend and participate. That's a separate decision from what legally we're required to do.
Well, and there can always be the disabled persons that can't make it to a public meeting anyways, would appreciate the online. There's no reason we can't have both.
Well, besides feasibility of it, I guess.
Right.
To do both, you need considerable amount of equipment in the room. Yeah. So, I don't know, I guess something we need to look into, but.
Yeah, already filming it. It's already public.
Well, it gets hard when everybody can't see everybody.
Well, maybe
You can't. We're not seeing everybody now.
maybe when we get the new building, put money into.
Well, that's different. I mean, that's going to be what,
Yeah.
the new building going to be done another year and a half.
A year or so now.
I think we need public meetings for then.
I mean, there's definitely technological solutions to this. I mean, if that's the desire for the village to allow a continued live stream option and in-person attendance for people. I mean, if you get a big enough screen, you can see everybody. Or if you have a couple separate cameras set up, streaming the same, streaming the in-person meeting location, 2 or 3 might be all you need. And then, I mean, but it's, I'm not the tech guy. I think the mayor is.
Yeah. So one advantage of using the fire training centers, they do have a huge screen, the projector, so that actually might work. Look at it.
Yeah, then anyone who's remote streaming in can be seen by everybody. And then if you have only 5 or a handful of people in person, 1 or 2 cameras will capture everybody. And then if you have microphones for everybody, there you go.
Yeah, that might work.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, look into it. Yeah.
I was gonna say, just the other suggestion might be Hubbard Hall.
Yeah, that becomes a scheduling issue sometimes, but.
They have
But yeah,
all
we-
the meetings during the day.
They got the microphones and they got the video screen too.
Yeah,
They do.
meetings during the day.
Just a suggestion.
They do. They are set up there too.
I mean, what would be the cleaning requirements for us there? I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some kind of a liability on that side.
Probably.
I mean, there's just things we have to look at because obviously Elm Street is not an option.
No, it's a little messy there right now. And it's small. I mean, we couldn't even fit our board in there if we were 6 feet apart.
I mean, this is nothing we're gonna solve tonight, so I mean, we think we need to chew on this a little bit and the next
we'll do
board
some
meeting, maybe
research.
have some kind of a,
Yeah, I think we need to check out what's available there at the training center.
Yeah, no, they have some tech stuff, you know, they have a big screen and internet, stuff like so. It might work out, or we could do some sort of a hybrid thing.
Oh, I'm all done.
All right. So, communications, the only communication I have, besides from Scott, not with us anymore, is Steve Bukema is resigning from the historian role. We need to look for a new historian. Nothing bad. Him and his family are moving south. Something they planned on doing after retirement. So I'd like to wish him well and thank him for everything he's done for the village. He's done a great job as historian. So if anybody has any ideas, we're taking ideas. Next thing, mayor's report. Been a busy couple of weeks. Posted a video. I contacted the DRI firms, got them to join the meeting. Attended the community public input meeting on the North Ave Park. Posted the recording of that community public meeting on the website. We did a little WBNG news article on the village offices going on over there at Elm Street. We had the Cornell Design Connect. We meet with them weekly. I do, and Abby from the county, just to see where they're at, what they're doing. And then we met with the Rotary about the pool improvements, the sign and the bench. So we got them moving forward on that. And there's the NICOM meeting on the adult use cannabis with the treasurer's report. Public service announcement. Oh yeah, yeah, I did a code red on the large speed bump we installed on East Temple Street. Almost took my car out on a couple times, but watch for it in the dark. Other than that, our last thing is public comment. See, we only have maybe Jim King or Jeff left on. Any public comment to end?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
My only comment is an offer. We've looked at budgets for EMS, as you know, as when the squad was part of the fire department. So we have a pretty good idea of the categories and how we spend money, or would spend money, and now the village is going to spend money. So if somebody wants to talk or look at our historical documents regarding budgeting categories, we'd be willing to share that.
Okay. Yeah, we'll be talking budgets soon. It's coming up next, probably.
Yeah, I don't think the village board should be afraid of allocating expenses between the fire department and the EMS department. It's not a hard thing to do. We can do it equitably. It's not going to be a big deal.
Yeah, that'll be our next topic, I'm sure. Right. Any other public comment? We're good? All right, we have a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? All right.
Yes.
Have a good night, everybody. Get some sleep.
Night.
Night, everybody.